Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426. This battle, life or death, is unpredictable. Pedden, you. I confess everything. I know their plan. I know all their plans. Pedden turned around and pointed at Commander Black and said, "This guy found me. He and the people behind him threatened me. If I don't come, they will destroy my entire Pedden planet. 7. Spare me. Save Pedden planet." 7 was stunned. Commander Black was stunned. The people fighting outside were very puzzled. Why did the overwhelming Kingu bridge, which was still in action just now, suddenly shut down, as if it had no power? At this time, Commander Black finally realized something. I was sold out. I surrender too. Don't kill me. On the sky battlefield, Bolton suddenly felt that something was wrong. Turning around, Kingu bridge and the disc creatures stopped moving collectively. On the entire battlefield, all the Ultramen and the two monsters that looked difficult to mess with focused their attention on him. Black. Pedden, you two are screwed. With endless resentment, Bolton was instantly blown up by the first generation specium ray, and his soul returned to the monster cemetery. Tell me your plan. Looking at the ice axe tightly grasped by 7, Pedden and Commander Black said everything they knew the fastest. It's Baba. He came to us. He said he has a plan to destroy the Kingdom of Light. We just thought Baba was crazy at first, but then Baba took out the Giga fighting device. With the blessing of the Giga fighting device, Baba's power became abnormally strong. We didn't dare to resist him at all. Yes, we were all forced. Under Baba's threat, we on the planet Pedden had to devote all our efforts to producing King Joe to serve as cannon fodder for attacking the Kingdom of Light. Our mission was only to ensure that there were no survivors in the Kingdom of Light. Yes, the black planet exploded, and we finally bred a batch of disc creatures. Under Baba's threat, we had to join the war. Spare us. We won't dare to do it again. And there are the Jettons, the Sharples, and the Knackers. They're here too. We can help you deal with them. 7 felt a headache after listening to what the two said. 7, what happened? They said that they were coerced by Baba. 7 said to the first generation and others who came over, the masterminds behind all this are those Baba people. Now we don't know where Baba is. Bolton, Sharpley, and Jetton are dead, and Ackle's situation is unknown. After a brief thought, the first generation said to the two people who were trembling in their arms, "Well, we will believe you this time." Really? The two felt relieved, and felt like they had walked back from the gates of hell. Go back, be a good person in the future, and don't have such bad thoughts again. Yes, we will definitely reform and start a new life. Are we just going to let them go? Lei looked at the Kingukio fleet and the disc creatures going away and asked, they won't return to the Kingdom of Light after we leave, right? Their mission is to finish off the enemy. The Kingdom of Light has lost its light now and has become an icy dead star. It has no value to them anymore. The first generation controlled the strongest Kingukio that he had asked from the Pedden people and said, our top priority now is to stop Belia and take back the plasma spark energy source. If they really dare to mess up the Kingdom of Light after we leave, it won't be too late to deal with them when we come back. As for what if they can't come back, the first generation didn't say it, and the others didn't ask tacitly. This battle, life, and death are unpredictable. I don't know how many light years away in the Gianna Long spacecraft. Are you saying that Lei and Ultraman went to the M78 Nebula together? Captain Hyuga asked in confusion. That's right. That's Ultrastar. Let's go together. Oki said excitedly. Ultraman is his idol, and it has always been his dream to go to Ultraman's hometown, so he is particularly excited now. Don't be silly, Oki. This place is 3 million light years away from Ultrastar. Even if the latest power system is used, it will take decades to get there. Masahiko said coldly. No way. Oki heard this. His face was depressed, so he couldn't see the Ultraman he had been thinking about. At this time, the spacecraft alarm system suddenly sounded an alarm, and Ming-Chen was shocked. No, an unidentified object is approaching quickly. Before everyone heard it, they had no time to figure out what the unidentified object was, whether it was an enemy or a friend. Their spacecraft had already been attacked, and the entire spacecraft was shaken violently. They staggered from side to side, and finally supported each other to stand on their feet. Captain Hyuga shouted, "It's the enemy." Ming-Chen shouted, "Get ready to dodge." Damn, what are they going to do? Masahiko immediately went to the control table. Oki also went to his own workstation. The spacecraft started quickly, and the speed immediately soared, quickly dodging the opponent's attack. In the universe, a huge unknown spacecraft like a millstone was constantly attacking them. They tried their best to dodge and escape, but the unknown spacecraft was obviously prepared, and kept biting them tightly, as if it would never leave, unless it killed them. Damn, we can't keep dodging, we have to fight back. Captain Hyuga said calmly, and immediately issued an attack order. Brachiosaurus missiles, fire, fire. After receiving the order, Masahiko did not hesitate for a second. After locking the opponent's spacecraft, he immediately launched countless Brachiosaurus missiles. The Brachiosaurus missiles directly hit the opponent's spacecraft, and a violent explosion occurred. Success. Seeing this scene, Masahiko and Oki shouted happily, "We can't let our guard down." Captain Hyuga was not as happy as they were. He had a wealth of experience in sailing and fighting. Before he saw the other side's situation, nothing could be said. Just as Captain Hyuga's voice fell, the millstone-like spaceship turned into a giant metal dragon, roared angrily, and directly entangled their spaceship. Oki looked at this scene in shock and said, "That's not a spaceship, that's the space dragon Nas. Is it a monster?" He entangled the spaceship, and his power is very strong. If this continues, the hull will not be saved. Ming-Chen tried his best to control the spaceship, but he couldn't get rid of the other side at all. At this time, even if Ming-Chen didn't say anything, they also felt the crisis, because the whole hull made a creaking sound under the heavy load, as if it was under a huge pressure, and could be crushed at any time. At this moment, a ray of light lit up. Chapter 427 Captain's Duty, Battle at the Monster Cemetery. In the light, an Ultraman emerged. After discovering the new enemy, Space Dragonus determined that Ultraman had a higher hatred based on its own system, and immediately let go of Brachiosaurus and rushed towards the newly appeared Ultraman. The newly appeared Ultraman turned sideways to avoid the impact of Space Dragonus, grabbed Space Dragonus' tail, exerted force with both arms, rotated his body, and pulled Space Dragonus' body to rotate. After rotating for several circles, Ultraman suddenly let go, and Space Dragonus flew out horizontally under the action of inertia, directly colliding with a meteorite not far away. Soldier Ray. A ray of light hit Space Dragonus directly, blasting it to pieces. After dealing with Space Dragonus, this Ultraman turned around and nodded to everyone on the Brachiosaurus. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Captain Hyuga shouting at him, "Wait a minute. This Ultraman. We need your help." Ultraman nodded, turned into a beam of light, and entered the Brachiosaurus. "Hello, I'm Dinah, Ultraman Dinah. Ultraman Dinah." As a little fan, although the Ultraman in front of him was different from the Ultraman he had seen on Earth, he was still very excited and wanted an autograph. "Oki." Captain Hyuga scared Oki away with a glare, and then said to Dinah, "Our team member, Raymond, was taken away by Ultraman Mebius. We want to know where he went. I'm the captain of the Brachiosaurus. I must be responsible for my crew members. It is my responsibility to bring every crew member home. I will bring Raymond back, please." Captain Hyuga bowed to Dinah, and Dinah quickly helped Captain Hyuga up. He told everyone, "The Holy Light told me that the Kingdom of Light has fallen into an unprecedented crisis. I listened to the call of the Holy Light. Your companions should have been taken away by the Ultraman, named Mebius, to help, because of the Rebrand bloodline in their bodies." Dinah closed his eyes and thought, then said, "The Holy Light told me that we are going to the Monster Cemetery." Monster Cemetery, the legendary place that came from the void, the place where all dead monsters go to return to the abyss? That's right. Dinah looked at the people in front of him, which reminded him of his days in the Super Victory team. His old captain was like Captain Hyuga, strict but kind. He treated him and other team members like a father. I want to tell you, that place is not a resort. If you go there, you may die. I must rescue Ray with my own hands. Captain Hyuga said to the other crew members, everyone. No need to say, Captain. Let's go together. Take Raymond home. Okay. Captain Hyuga looked at Dinah and said, then I'll leave it to you. Ultraman Dinah. Dinah nodded and said, then we are partners. By the way, you can also call me by another name. Another name? Yes, my name is a human, Asuka Shin. A ray of light lit up, and Miracle Dinah appeared outside the Brachiosaurus. He picked up the Brachiosaurus and opened a small wormhole tunnel. Monster Cemetery. Berea held up the Gigafighter, and a powerful energy poured into the Gigafighter from the plasma spark energy source, and then poured into the bodies of 100 monsters through the microcosm in the Gigafighter. Hahaha, I'm going to conquer the entire universe with these monsters. He laughed arrogantly, but he was indeed qualified to be arrogant now. After all, the only thing that could prevent him from conquering the universe was the Kingdom of Light, but now, the entire Kingdom of Light has been destroyed by him. With these monsters, plus the energy source of the plasma spark tower, even the old guy King Ultra can't stop me. Kingdom of Light Universe K76. King Ultra smiled without saying a word, and casually put a defensive blessing on the universe prison of his universe. This story tells us not to talk big, especially not to talk big. King Ultra is narrow-minded. But at this moment, a metal block flew into the monster cemetery and fell to the ground like a meteor, stirring up a puff of dust. I didn't expect that you little bugs would dare to appear in front of me. The smoke and dust dissipated, and it was the King Bridge that he had asked for from the Pedanians before. Berea's eyes easily saw the group of people in the cockpit through the Pedanium alloy plate. He sneered and asked, you don't think you can defeat me with this piece of broken copper and iron picked up from some garbage dump? Don't be funny. Berea, let's make a break. Seven looked at Berea outside and 100 monsters behind him and took out the ultra glasses from his arms. I didn't expect that you guys didn't freeze to death. Where's Kane? Berea didn't take the people in the King Bridge seriously at all. They were just a group of defeated generals who slipped through the net. Everyone left the light to us, and we will definitely not let everyone down. The first generation also took out the beta magic wand. Berea, we'll make you pay. Let's put an end to this. Hahaha. Berea laughed out loud upon hearing this. Go, my pets. Berea waved the ultimate battle device, and suddenly 100 red lights flew out of the ultimate battle device, and after landing, they turned into 100 kinds of monsters. If you want to take back the energy source of the plasma spark tower, play with my pawns first. Attack and destroy them. 100 monsters heard the order and roared in the direction of King Bridge. The power of the sound waves caused by the roar of 100 monsters at the same time was barely catching up with Berea's previous ultrasonic roar. Go, everyone. Mebius. Wash your socks. Geo. Eddie. Gamora. Jeton. Attack. Foros and two beasts appeared outside King Bridge. Berea stood on a small hill, at least 300 meters up, and saw this scene, and suddenly became interested. As a civilian official, Seven's brain is at work here. He quickly arranged a battle plan. Mebius, the task of getting the energy core of the plasma spark tower is now in your hands. Ultraman, Eddie and I will clean up the monsters together. Berea will definitely not remain indifferent to our resistance. He will definitely come to deal with us. Then will be your chance. Lei, I'm really sorry to have dragged you into such a dangerous battlefield. Gamora and Zeton will be responsible for assisting Mebius. You will control the King Bridge. Protecting yourself is the highest priority. Everyone, let's go together. Yes. Mebius waved his right arm, and the Mebius nightlight blade flew out of its sheath. Gamora, Zeton. We'll be in a group of 3. Let's go together. Gamora, Zeton, cover Mebius. Roar. Zeton. The first one to rush over was the iron-blooded Red King. Gamora hugged Red King and blocked this powerful and brainless opponent for Mebius. Red King is also Gamora's old rival. Jeton charged a high-temperature fireball and hit Red King hard on his back. The shining fighting instrument, which was strengthened by the holy fire, gave Jeton a new ability, the super high temperature fireball. Red King was in great pain from the super high temperature fireball, and the battle hardened Gamora threw him to the ground with an over the shoulder throw. Mebius flew up, released Mebius Night Slice in midair, and killed Red King with one sword. Mebius First Blood Red King. Assists, Gamora, Jeton. 7. The first generation and Eddie all took fighting poses at the same time. It's been a long time since I faced such a battle. Yes. The photons in my body are boiling again. Let's fight side by side. Take back our hope. The first generation is strong and has rich combat experience. As the second strongest person in the Kingdom of Light, the first generation's fighting style is more inclined to heavy attacks and throwing skills. After thousands of years, the first generation, who once relied on throwing skills to smash the unparalleled Red King in a group of monsters into popcorn, now showed his strength as the most burly and strongest real big brother among the Ultra Brothers. I'm a university professor, and it is reasonable for me to kill monsters with my bare hands. In response, the first generation hit the chest of the newly resurrected Bolton Star hard and went straight through the chest, sending the newly resurrected Bolton Star back to the monster graveyard to read the bar again. Oh, this is the monster graveyard, then it's okay. Because the previous heavy punch was too brutal, the group of monsters facing the first generation were somewhat afraid to step forward. So, the first generation chose to take the initiative. It's decided to be you, Bermula. A group of Bermulas watching the show. Damn. Let's talk it over. You, don't come over here. Compared to the first generation who punched Bolton with one punch and kicked Bermula with two kicks, 7's fighting style is more stable. He held the ice axe and looked at the opponents in front of him. Gaz, Labby, Ponton, and Gallus, they are all old opponents. 7 took off the ice axe, took a fighting stance and asked, who will come first? Looking at 7, who seemed to be stronger than when he killed himself, a group of 7 opponents led by Gaz unconsciously took a step back collectively. I'm in the cemetery, just resurrected, and 7 is coming to kill me. What should I do? Waiting online, it's urgent. Chapter 428, that star-slashing sword is used for protection. 7 took the lead, swinging his ice axe at the space ape Goran, and dodged the sweep of King L's tail by leaning sideways. A group of monsters that 7 had killed came towards 7. 7 knew that, no matter what he planned, it would not be very effective in this situation, so let's fight. 7 kicked over Rikers, the one who provided the fusion material for Tyrant Sears, and returned the ice axe to his hand. He aimed at the head of the poisonous monster Gabra and cut open its skull. 7's sharp ears heard the sound in the air, turned around and accurately hit the Keelan beast who was preparing for the special attack of the Divine Bad with an Amarim ray. The Keelan beast turned into a yellow smoke in the sky. The poisonous smoke spread over the battlefield, covering the battlefield with a layer of fog. 7 swung his ice axe and cut off Gallus's tentacles. At this moment, the Gas suddenly said to 7, 7, you have killed Gallus and the Non-Gmad once. Do you want to kill them a second time? 7 was stunned instinctively when he heard this. At the moment of daze, the Gas instantly attacked. Just when the laser was about to hit 7's body, 3 illusory bodies blocked 7's body. Maculus, Huangdom, Akira. That was 7's former partner, the capsule monster, that died on Earth for him. Seeing the soul of his former partner appear again, and because he helped him block the attack of the Gas, even the soul dissipated. 7 was angry. 7 beams light. A ray of horror in orange directly penetrated the body of the Gas, and a bunch of cosmic people behind him exploded together. The rest of the resurrected 7 cosmic people saw this, and their bodies were weak. In the cemetery, the stupid teammates pissed off 7. Can he still leave his body intact? Waiting online, the ice axe is almost on his forehead. Eddie fought with the negative energy monsters. After being strengthened by the overwhelming negative energy in the monster cemetery, the strength of all the negative energy monsters was strengthened by more than one layer. Eddie punched the sulfuric acid monster H2O away, and then kicked Chimera with a flying kick. The invincible King Chimera was killed by the flying kick again. Looking at the old opponents in front of him, Eddie also remembered the time he spent with his students on Earth. Fortunately, he also said goodbye to the students with the help of Mebius. Now, it's time to save another group of students. Zeta, Ibo, Tager, Phyllis. Wait for the teacher will definitely save you. In comparison, Mebius deals with more Jack-type monsters. Blind. Mebius killed the oil monster Tagan with one sword. After the violent explosion and flames when Tagan died, Mebius covered his body, absorbed the flames to strengthen the Mebius Nightlight Blade, and chopped Gutenman the two-tailed monster into pieces with the Mebius Nightlight Blade. Mebius. Mephiles. Are you dead too? Mebius saw the familiar figure at a glance, the guy who once changed the cognition of all the people on Earth in a single thought and once caused himself to collapse. Didn't he leave the Earth? Why did he appear in the monster cemetery? Mephiles raised one hand and said, although I don't really want to be your enemy, since Lord Belia resurrected me, I owe him a life. I'm sorry. Lightning surprise attack. Facing telekinesis and the control of monsters, Mebius couldn't dodge or block the lightning attack for a while. Just as the lightning was about to hit Mebius, a sword energy swept in from a distance, easily cutting through the lightning, forcing the attacking Mephiles to teleport and dodge. Who? You are the opponent I'm destined to kill. The man holding the star/pill said lightly, don't die before I kill you. Zamsha. Yes, the one who came was Zamsha. Zamsha killed several monsters around Mebius with a sword, and said to Mebius, I have been practicing for a long time. After this matter is over, I must fight you. It's not only about who is better, but also about life and death. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's not about life and death. Mebius and Zamsha stood back to back, shoulder to shoulder, facing the army of monsters. Zamsha, the sword is used to protect the people behind you. Nonsense. And Belia noticed Raymond, who was controlling the battle of King Joe. Perhaps it was the advantage of Rabrando's bloodline. Facing the King Bridge, which could barely be considered a monster, Raymond was able to manipulate it with ease. Belia became interested in Raymond and used his not very proficient telepathy. Interesting. Belia's voice was transmitted to Raymond's mind. I didn't expect that I would meet other Leonixes. My name is Lei, and I'm Leonixes on Earth. Ray said coldly. Haha, this is interesting. Belia originally disdained this little human, but when he heard that the other party was also Leonixes, he immediately became interested and said with a big laugh, since you are Leonixes, then there is no need for us to fight. I will give you a chance and surrender to me. I'm different from you. Raymond said angrily. What's the difference? I'm fighting for my companions and for peace. How ridiculous. The blood of Rebrand flows in your body. You are Leonix, born to be dark. With a point of the Giga Fighter in Belia's hand, several monsters surrounded King Joe Bridge. Raymond controlled King Joe Bridge and fought against many monsters alone. Seeing that Raymond was in danger, Gamora and Jetton quickly surrounded him and came to save him. At this moment, Belia raised his hand and released a beam of light to attack King Joe Bridge. Raymond's alarm bells rang in his heart when he saw the purple-black light, and he immediately left King Joe Bridge. The next second, Lei heard a roar in the air, and King Joe Bridge, which had super defensive power, was instantly broken into pieces under this beam of light, and turned into a pile of scrap metal on the spot. Belia seemed to want to have a good time with Raymond. With a thought, several cosmic people instantly surrounded Raymond, who had landed. Magma, Baba, Bolton, and Ada. After Lei dodged their first wave of attacks, he held the shining fighting device in his hand, crossed his arms, and a stream of energy was activated in his body. A flash of light appeared, and a Rebrando version of Raymond appeared in the same place. This is the state after the awakening of the gene of Rebrando he inherited. Now in the combat mode, Raymond kicked Baba away with one foot. The terrifying force carried the energy and kicked Baba to the stone pillar 100 meters away and then exploded. The next one was Magma. Raymond fell with a knife and Magma's tyrant blade was broken. Then he ended his life with an uppercut. Dada was stunned. How could this guy be so fierce? Belia, who saw this scene, nodded and said, well, this guy's really capable. He looked at other places on the battlefield. Mebius rushed the most fiercely. At this time, he was about to break through the monster's blockade and reach him. Belia smiled coldly, picked up the final Giga fighting device, and directly attacked Mebius. Mebius was dealing with the monster. How could he have thought that Belia was so insidious and suddenly attacked? He was hit by a careless moment and flew out with a scream. Mebius. Raymond shouted worriedly. Gamora, Jeton, go. After receiving the order, Gamora and Littler immediately abandoned those ordinary monsters and rushed towards Belia. Gamora used his horns to hit Belia hard, but was blocked by Belia's fighting device. Gamora was a power monster, but his power was easily suppressed in front of Belia. He knelt on the ground with his head pressed, and then was smashed out. Gamora fell to the ground with serious injuries. Raymond and Tim had a contract. When Gamora was injured, Raymond also felt the piercing pain. At this moment, Jeton finally awakened his innate skill, teleportation, and jumped behind Belia with a teleportation, but heard Belia said in annoyance, "It's annoying." Belia waved the jigger fighting instrument and hit Jeton hard. Raymond felt the intense pain again. He couldn't bear it. He half knelt on the ground and looked at Belia with horror. He didn't expect that the opponent was so much stronger than him as Leonix. Hey, Leonix of the Earth. Belia easily knocked down Raymond's two pets and walked towards him, saying seductively, "See, this is my power. How about it? Do you want to be my subordinate? Follow me, you can control the entire universe." "Humph, don't dream." Raymond said disdainfully. "You're still tough." Belia sneered and said, "But can you betray the rebellion genes in your body?" "What?" Raymond was shocked and saw Belia's huge claws slapping him down. He was knocked out with just one slap. His slap was mixed with a trace of black and red evil power. These powers entered Raymond's body through the attack just now and immediately detonated the violent components in the rebellion genes in his body. "Let me see your true strength," Belia said. "Damn, you bastard." Raymond slowly got up and his whole body kept releasing black and red evil energy. "Ah." He howled to the sky and the black and red evil energy became more and more, covering his whole body, making him more evil, and his breath became more and more similar to Belia. Not good. The three Ultramen who saw the situation on Ray's side thought it was not good in their hearts. Mebius wanted to struggle to get up from the ground, but his body really had no strength at all. As he changed, Gamora and Zeton also changed dramatically, becoming larger and redder, as if covered in a layer of burning flames, with an amazing momentum. Unexpectedly, Capsule Monster and Zamsha both appeared. Chapter 429, The Civil and Military 4. Maximum, Geno, Neus, and 721. Raymond fell into a violent state and turned into a monster that released black and red light all over his body, and his eyes turned red. At this time, he could not distinguish between friend and foe, and was completely crazy. He would kill anyone who stood in his way, and anyone who stood in his way would be killed. Seeing this, Belia was overjoyed. This was the result he wanted. Then he left directly, flew to a big rock, and sat on it to watch the show, and said proudly, "Humph, Rebrando's fighting instinct finally broke out. Very good, this is a real you. Now use this power to make those guys who claim to be righteous bleed into rivers." The four AOS were very anxious. Raymond fell into Belia's trap and fell into the outbreak mode. They had to stop each other, come out of this outbreak mode, and regain consciousness. Otherwise, after a long time, Raymond would completely lose his mind and become a killing machine. So the four Ultramen immediately stood in front of Gamora and Jeton. Mebius shouted loudly, "Lay!" to try to wake him up. Unfortunately, Raymond had completely lost his mind at this time. There was only fighting in his eyes. Whoever stood in front of him, he would kill. Kill. He ordered loudly, and the violent Gamora and Jeton immediately killed the four Ultramen. At this moment, the strength of the two monsters increased dramatically under the blessing of Raymond. In addition, Gamora and Jeton were contracted beasts connected to Raymond's bloodline. If Gamora and Jeton were really killed, Raymond would be the first to be injured. The four Ultramen did not dare to do it, and could only try to calm Raymond down. Raymond's heart was also struggling and wavering. The power brought to him by the sacred fire continued to protect his heart, so that Lei would not be swallowed by this crazy and violent emotion. "Everyone, come on. Kill them." Faced with the siege of the monster army, the first generation and 7 stayed behind to continue to hold back the violent Gamora and Zeton, while Mebius and Eddie went to stop the monster army that kept surrounding them. Berea was so happy that he couldn't stop clapping his hands. Watching these guys who claimed to be righteous killing each other was really an indescribable joy for Berea. Not good. Eddie had just repelled King Glass when he saw a figure that was so fast that it was almost blurred and almost impossible to see clearly break through the encirclement and kill Seven. Watch out. Seven was wrestling with Jetton. Compared to Gamora, who had been with Ray for a long time, Jetton was obviously much weaker, at least in terms of strength. This Jetton could only use the ineffective 1 degree fireball and the long CD instant movement, but he didn't have any other skills that Jetton should have. Compared with the first generation, Seven was still a little weaker in close combat, so the two chose their opponents. But unexpectedly, someone was unethical and attacked by surprise. Just when the opponent was about to attack Seven, a head dart flew over, carrying a huge force and splitting the attacker in two. Planetary Civilization Observer, Maximum. Planetary Civilization Observer, Gino. Space Security Bureau, Neos. Space Security Bureau, 721. Great. You are finally here. Seven, be careful. Seven was distracted after all. After Zetton went berserk, the CD of teleportation became shorter. He teleported behind Seven and instantly shot out a powerful fireball, blowing Seven away. Asshole. Gino stepped forward to catch Seven, who was flying backwards. Just when Maximum was about to cut Zetton in half, he was stopped by the first generation. Gino, I leave this to you. Maximum handed Zetton to the soy sauce trio, jumped up, and shouted, Berea, I will fight you. Screening room. It's Maximum. Great. Maximum is so strong. He can definitely deal with Berea. Ultra Father, it's hard to say. Although this kid can go Super Gigantamax to 1000 meters, size is never a key factor in battle. Ultra Father, however, this warrior named Maximum can indeed be trained with emphasis. The video continues. Belial frowned and found that the new guy seemed a little bit unusual. After a short fist fight, he found that this guy's strength was at least not weaker than any of the 6 guys. Because they are relatively average in all aspects, they are stronger when combined. Maximum is under more pressure at this moment. This may be the strongest enemy he has ever faced. This old Maximum is not TV old Maximum. He has never encountered opponents of the level of gods, ghosts, monsters, and demons such as Helibae, Yifu, and Emo Shen. At this time, another spaceship and an Ultraman appeared. It was Dinah and Brachiosaurus. The moment Raymond saw the Brachiosaurus, his mind went blank. His original consciousness took this opportunity to desperately try to regain control of his body. After Captain Hyuga entered the monster graveyard, he immediately saw that the field was full of densely packed huge monsters. He couldn't help but say in shock, oh my god, how can there be so many monsters? Ming-Chen has always been very worried about Lei. After entering, he began to look for Lei, and as a result, he saw Lei, who had fallen into a violent state. She screamed, which immediately attracted the attention of others. Lei has gone crazy, Masahiko said worriedly. Captain Hyuga looked firm and said decisively, now only we can stop him. Ming-Chen, land immediately. Oki was shocked when he heard this. There were countless monsters densely packed below. He said in fear, land here? Captain Hyuga ignored him, and Masahiko directly covered his mouth. Understood. Ming-Chen responded, and flew directly to where Lei was, reducing the speed to the minimum. The hatch opened, and when flying past Lei, Captain Hyuga jumped out of the spaceship and threw Lei to the ground. He tried to wake Lei up, saying loudly, Lei, wake up quickly. The 2 consciousnesses in Raymond's body were madly fighting for control of the body. Raymond's will was ultimately unable to defeat the power of Ray Brando's bloodline. He could only be protected by the sacred firelight to prevent his original consciousness from being devoured. Raymond's body, which was controlled by Ray Brando's violent emotions, now regarded everyone as an enemy and wanted to kill everyone. Even Captain Hyuga was no exception. Raymond's body pinched Captain Hyuga's neck hard, trying to strangle him to death. Fortunately, Ming-Chen had already landed the spaceship at this time. Ming-Chen, Masahiko, and Oki immediately ran over, hugged Lei tightly, and controlled him. Lei, please change back to your original self. Ming-Chen hugged Lei's arm tightly and shouted loudly, "Lei, do you remember that you are our most important partner?" Captain Hyuga also shouted loudly, "That's right, Lei, we still have to travel together." Several people took turns calling Lei loudly, but it didn't work. Lei had lost his mind. He was now Ray Brando. He threw Masahiko out with a wave of his hand, kicked Oki out with a kick, and punched Ming-Chen away. He didn't even recognize his closest partner now. Raymond wanted to kill Captain Hyuga in front of him, but the will of Raymond in his body finally became completely angry after his partners were injured by his body. With the blessing of anger, Raymond's will defeated the tyranny of the bloodline of Ray Brando. And at the moment when Raymond stopped, Captain Hyuga saw this, rushed over, hugged Ray, and hit him fiercely with his fists. Since he couldn't wake him up, he could only use his fists to wake him up. "That's enough, wake up," Captain Hyuga said loudly, punching Ray's chest hard. With this punch, Ray calmed down immediately and recovered from his violent state. Gamora and Jeton turned into a beam of light and drilled into his battle instrument, and Raymond's Ray Brando mode disappeared. "Thank you, Captain. Arsehole boy, it is the captain's duty to bring every crew member home." Maximum and Dinah's fight with Belia was not smooth. Both of them are considered to be the top ones, but the two sides have never met before. They are not even in the same universe or the same light. Although they both have justice in their hearts, the cooperation between them cannot be said to be very bad. It can only be said that there is no cooperation at all. Fortunately, both of them were experienced in many battles. When they noticed this, they quickly changed their tactics and turned the group fight into a round-robin battle, taking turns to fight with Belia. Belial also discovered this and also found that the boy with fancy clothes was obviously weaker. Belial seized the opportunity, pulled Dinah to his side, and put a choke around Dinah's neck. Taking this opportunity, the Giga fighting machine released a terrifying energy attack. Maximum quickly opened the shield to resist, but still underestimated the strongest attack of Belial's Giga fighting machine, and was unfortunately knocked away. "You are just a human, dare to disturb me watching the show." While choking, Belia shot out an electric current with a radius of several meters, and the direction of the electric current was to the members of Lei and Brachiosaurus who had just recovered. Not good. Raymond. All the Ultramen were entangled by their opponents. Maximum was knocked away and couldn't fly over for a while. Seeing that the people who had just reunited were about to turn into cosmic dust, a red figure blocked everyone. 7. It's Ultraman 7. Senior 7. 7 used his body to help Raymond and the others block this fatal blow. Libert is too young, so he was not allowed to appear. I calculated the age according to the time of appearance. Even if Libert appeared in the battle with Mogu Snake, Libert is just a child now, so it is enough to arrange for him to show up in the finale. Chapter 430. Zero finally knows his identity. K-76 Ultraman Leo was still training with Zero. Leo kicked Zero fiercely, but Zero grabbed his foot and threw him out like a weapon, smashing him hard on a mountain nearby. The mountain collapsed directly, and half of the mountain top rolled down, but Zero immediately ran over and picked up the half of the mountain top that had rolled down. Zero lowered his head and looked at the little guy under his feet and said, "Didn't I just tell you to go away and go to a safe place? Go quickly." Squeak, squeak. Pigman called twice to express his gratitude and left quickly. Seeing Pigman leave safely, Zero put down the half of the mountain top. Then he pulled himself together, prepared for the battle, and said to Leo Ultraman, "Okay, come again. This time, see how I kick you away." "Wait a minute." Leo Ultraman stretched out his hand to stop him. "Hey, what's wrong? Are you going to surrender?" Zero said disdainfully. Leo didn't care about what he said, but asked, "Did you just save that little guy's life?" "So what?" Zero said without caring. "Don't talk so much nonsense. Let's fight it out." Zero. Suddenly a figure landed and blocked Zero. King of Ultra. Looking at Zero who saved Pigman, King of Ultra nodded with satisfaction. "Old man, what are you doing? This young master is going to beat this guy up." Hearing the disrespect in Zero's tone, King of Ultra was not angry at all, but smiled and said, "Zero, do you still remember what happened on the day you were expelled from Ultra Star?" "Humph, I won't think about that kind of thing." Zero said angrily, obviously not thinking. Why are you talking to me about this, old man? Are you laughing at me? Already full of anger, when he heard the King of Ultra talking to him with a smile, Zero felt that he was being laughed at. That day, Seven did the same thing as you just now. Leo said. Huh? What did you say? Zero was confused and asked. He also saved a pig human. Ha ha ha. The King of Ultra laughed and said, you can understand it that way. It's just that the pig human he saved was not someone else, but you. Hey, old man. I'm not a pig human. You were immature at that time. If it weren't for Seven stopping you in time, you would have been swallowed by the powerful energy of the energy core, and then like Belia, you would have fallen into the abyss of evil. Leo held back his laughter and said earnestly. Zero didn't say anything. He had indeed figured it out a long time ago. At that time, he almost made a huge mistake. If it weren't for Seven, he would probably regret it for the rest of his life. Back then, Seven's slap was actually quite a lot. But even if you understand it and admit your mistakes, it's impossible to say it out loud and apologize. Zero was silent, and Leo also chose to be silent. This lonely lion was not a person with a rich language. When educating the younger generation, he also inherited the style of his old captain. What should I do if the child is disobedient? Most of the time, he is spoiled. Just give him a beating. What should I do if the child is upset? Most of the time, he is idle. Just give him a beating, child. Zero, what do you think is your relationship with Seven? The King of Ultra suddenly asked. Zero was confused by this nonsensical question, and then he thought, could this old man want me to acknowledge Seven's kindness? Although I do want to thank him, it's really difficult to admit it. I don't want to say it out loud. It's too shameful. He is your father. I am. What? Zero turned his head suddenly, and the King of Ultra seemed to be able to see Zero's expression through the training armor, and saw the embarrassment on Zero's face. It's not me. Zero, who could have argued with Leo for half a day, stuttered at this moment, and couldn't even utter a complete sentence. He stammered back and forth the words you, this, it's not. Then why didn't he tell me? Zero finally exploded. I always thought I was an orphan. I always thought I had no father. Do you know how envious I was when I saw other classmates going home hand in hand with their parents when I was a child? Where is my mother? Why don't they recognize me? Why don't they want me anymore? Why? Zero grabbed the cloak of Ultra King. Ultra King was not angry. He told Zero, now, your father and the entire Kingdom of Light are in crisis. He wanted to tell you when the time was right. Seven handed you over to us when you almost made a big mistake. Let us train you, hoping that you can become a real Ultra Warrior. Now it seems that the time is ripe. Ultra King stretched out his hand and pressed lightly on the training armor on Zero's body. Immediately, the seal on the training armor was unlocked. Ultra King pointed in the direction of the monster cemetery and said, go, Ultraman Zero, go save your father. Zero looked in the direction of the monster cemetery, and his originally confused eyes had become firm. I will save him, and the Kingdom of Light. I want to prove to him that I, Zero, am a hero who saves the Kingdom of Light. I will save him too. I must save him. And then give that bastard a hard punch in the face. Zero kicked his legs and took off. His training armor shattered inch by inch. In just a moment, Zero disappeared into the horizon. Zero, that kid. Leo looked at Zero, who was going away, and after a long time, he finally said, he won't get lost. If you are worried, just follow him and take a look. You haven't seen Seven for a long time, haven't you? The King of Ultra, looking at Leo, who was worried but still stubborn, couldn't help laughing. Call a strap. Let's go together. Protecting the peace of this universe. This is my mission. Yes. Leo flew away, and the King of Ultra turned his head and looked around. After a long time, he shook his head and left. Kingdom of Light. Seven stared at Zero's appearance, the red and blue body, the two head darts on his head, and the eyes that he inherited from him. What made Seven even more distressed was Zero's words. For a father, such words were too hurtful. Chapter 431. I'm Zero, Ultraman Zero, the son of Seven. I'm such an irresponsible father. Seven was in low spirits. Any parent with a little conscience would not be indifferent after hearing their child say such words. The first generation stepped forward and patted Seven on the shoulder. Zero was not only Seven's son, but also their nephew. The first generation, and others in another time and space would not feel good if they expelled Zero with their own hands. Fortunately, everything has not happened yet, and there is still a chance to modify everything. The video continues. In the monster cemetery, Seven has fallen down, and the energy light on his forehead has gone out. Belial threw Dinah away. Although this guy is a bit interesting, his ability to transform makes him bright, but this kind of transformation is obviously very troublesome to switch, so I give him a bad review. If you can switch freely without restrictions, you can still cause yourself a little trouble. But now the Ultramen of the Land of Light are also fancy. This one can change color, and the other can actually shake off his own brat. The pattern on his body is more fancy than this guy. The game is over. Belia hit Mebius and Zamsha with an electric current, sending them flying. Then he flew after them and stepped on Mebius. Zamsha. The other Rose saw this and wanted to save Mebius, but Belia seemed to want to kill Mebius in front of them, deliberately letting the monsters have a crack. But then he blocked them tightly, deliberately wanting Mebius to die in front of him. I heard that you are their youngest brother. Belia twisted his neck and inserted the Giga Fighter into the ground, with dark purple currents surrounding his hands. Boy, I'll give you a chance to say your last words. Belia stepped on Mebius and said with a gesture of kindness, "You won't succeed. Then die." Electricity surged in Belial's hands. Just as his claws were about to rip open Mebius's belly, energy balls fell from the sky. Belial's spiritual sense instantly sensed the attack, and he jumped away from Mebius and grabbed the Giga Fighter that was stuck in the ground. The ball fell, and a warrior with muscles all over his body and a green 5-pointed star on his forehead fell from the sky. Who the hell are you? Jonius, the U40 warrior who follows the will of the great sage and the holy light. Belia was about to go crazy. He thought about it carefully. He fiddled with it for a long time, and it seemed that he didn't have an accurate number of kills. The guys outside the space prison were blown away, but he didn't finish them off. The guys in the Kingdom of Light were frozen into ice by him, and 80% of them would not survive, but he really didn't have a clear hand to kill, since he was released from prison. Oh, there is a Shakal Baba, that's fine. An extremely sharp sword energy came, and Belia blocked it with his stick. The person who attacked was Zamsha. Zamsha held the star-slashing pill and Jonius to block Mebius firmly in front of him, and was not afraid of Belia at all. Zamsha, I told you, you are the opponent I must kill. No one can take your life except me. You are not Ultraman, why don't you join my empire? Belia saw that his opponent had some strength, and heard Zamsha say that he must kill Mebius, so he said, join my empire, and you can kill anyone from the Kingdom of Light. How about it? HMPH. Zamsha looked at Belia with disgust on his face. I once met an emperor who was at least stronger than you, but I still chose to fight him to the death. Why do you think you can make me bow my head? Asshole. Belia raised the Giga fighting device and asked, which guy is qualified to call himself emperor in front of me? Alien emperor. Just when Belia was silenced by Zamsha's words, a turquoise light fell from the sky and swept across the 8 directions. It's endless. How many helpers do you have? Can't they all come at once? A beam of Imram came and swept a circle of monsters, instantly freeing up the surrounding combat power. Then, he landed next to Seven and carried Seven to a high platform. Is it him? Yes, it's him. As a troublemaker who skips school every day, I can't forget him. Who are you? I'm Zero, Ultraman Zero, Seven's son. Since you are Seven's son, then I will fulfill your wish. Go to hell with him, come on. A large wave of monsters swarmed towards Zero. The volcanic bird Barton moved around from the sky, spewing a ball of fire from its mouth and attacked Zero. Zero dodged sideways and took advantage of the situation to do a backward flip in the air to avoid Barton's fierce attack. Then, Zero clenched his right fist, and with his left hand in front of him in the shape of a hand blade, he emitted a beam of Imram light from his forehead, instantly destroying Barton in flight. Then Zero made a vertical jump and landed directly in the middle of this wave of ferocious monsters. Facing him was the underground monster Telestan. Zero dived and knocked it down. In an instant, the space seaman Bulgy came over. Zero immediately hit him with an uppercut and then a backhand punch, knocking him back. Taking advantage of the situation, Jeton also surrounded him and threw a punch. After being blocked by Zero lightly, he also sent 2 punches to the opponent. Jeton was knocked dizzy by these 2 heavy punches from Zero. At this time, the Gatsby behind Zero was about to be attacked by a sneak attack. Before it could make any move, Zero turned around and kicked it in the air, kicking it out. At this time, the dinosaur tank rushed over, trying to knock Zero away, but Zero reacted so quickly that he kicked it forward and made it unable to take care of itself. After this forward kick knocked out the dinosaur tank, Zero instantly stabilized his body center of gravity and kicked the rock monster Sadler, who was approaching without knowing whether to live or die. Sadler flew away without even a cry of pain. At this moment, the monsters who surrounded Zero and took a group fight mode were kicked out of the battle circle by Zero's 3 or 2 moves. Now there is a large area around Zero. Seeing this, Zero also dived forward, flew into the air, bent his legs, and kicked the space monster, King L, and the skeleton monster Red King, who were about to join the battle circle. In an instant, the 2 ferocious monsters were thrown to the ground. After seeing King Air and King Red being kicked away, more monsters surrounded Zero again. Obviously, in their opinion, the team just now was not enough to deal with Zero. The first to come forward was the dirt monster Angrus. Zero stood up from King Air and King Red, rolled backwards, avoided the whip of Angrus' tail, and then gave Angrus a high-legged kick. Under this blow from Zero, Angrus instantly lost his fighting power. After kicking Angrus away, the other Red King and the super ancient monster Galzan beside him punched at Zero at the same time. Zero gently turned sideways, dodged, and kicked Galzan straight. Galzan, who was in pain, covered his stomach with both hands and retreated several steps. The Red King on the side seemed to have not figured out the situation yet, and then slapped Zero. Ultraman reacted instantly, stretched out his left hand, and directly grasped Red King's hands, and then gave Red King several heavy kicks. After these heavy kicks, Red King was kicked to pieces. After Red King was kicked to pieces, the silk-spinning alien beast, Vampira, also wanted to cause trouble from behind Ultraman. Indeed, the intelligence of alien beasts is indeed different from other monsters. They know how to cause trouble, but they picked the wrong opponent. Ultraman's reflexes are not comparable to those of ordinary Ultraman. He turned around and gave it a backward kick, which also kicked it to pieces. Although Ultraman's offensive became more and more powerful, it did not stop. More powerful monsters followed one after another, including Zeton, who was knocked unconscious not long ago, as well as the sea monster, King Jesla, the 2-headed monster, King Pondon, and the Hellstar, Hippolyte. Seeing this, Zero also knew that it would take a long time to continue fighting like this. In the current situation, he could only use some drastic measures and stronger moves to defeat them. After making up his mind, Zero also retreated and somersaulted and opened up some distance from these monsters. Then he released the Zero head dart. As soon as the head dart came out, King Pondon, who was rushing in front, was split. The head dart that came back took away Hippolyte. Then Zero released the focused light again, blasting Zeton and King Jesla. After receiving the head dart that flew back, Zero used the head dart as a blade and mixed into the remaining group of monsters at a very fast speed, constantly swinging his blade. After a while, the entire group of monsters was actually cleaned up by Zero's Ultraman. So powerful, the people of Oki were dumbfounded. This new Ultraman was too powerful. Belia saw that Zero was quite skilled, and he could not help but said, "Boy, let me meet you in person." After hearing this, Zero angrily replied, "Come on, I won't let you go, Belia." After saying this, Belia and Zero jumped up at the same time. Belia held the ultimate battle device, and Zero held the head dart. The head dart collided with the power battle device, colliding with fierce sparks. Zero and Belia fought face to face. Belia held the long weapon Giga battle device, which could not be used at all in a face-to-face battle. On the contrary, Zero's Ice Axe head dart could be used as a dagger in his hand. After several rounds of fighting, Zero and Belia took off directly from the ground and fought fiercely in mid-air. Zero quickly waved the head dart with both hands, and Belia also held the battle device tightly, blocking left and right. Belia saw that he was always in a disadvantageous position, and took the opportunity when Zero kicked to jump back and try to distance himself from Belial, but Zero did not give him any chance and followed Belial closely. Then, while Belial was replaying, he quickly distanced himself, forcing Belial to catch up, but suddenly slowed down halfway and fought Belial face to face again. Belia was extremely angry at Zero's move and continued to fight with Zero in close combat with his stick. The Kingdom of Light. This kid has such a strong fighting talent. This sentence did not come from Seven, but from Ultra Father. If I remember correctly, this kid should be only a few thousand years old. He can actually fight Belial to a draw. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432 Holy Light, please give me strength. Ultra Father's affirmation shows how powerful Zero is. As an old warrior of the same generation as Belia, Ultra Father has seen too many opponents, including many warriors who are powerful or have great potential, but even Ultra Father has not seen many like Zero. To be able to fight Belia on equal terms, you must know that Belia is not a slacker. He is the first person under Ultra Father. Zero can actually fight him without losing. Ultra Father made up his mind in his heart that he must not let this child go astray. The video continues. The two sides entangle for a while. Zero is young after all, and it seems that he has endless strength. He actually forced Belia back from midair with his strength alone. Belia retreated to the ground and had no time to breathe. Zero threw the head darts at it. Two sharp head darts flew towards Belia like meteors. Belial waved the battle device in his hand and turned it around, which also set off a huge airflow. The huge rocks on the ground were also affected by this powerful airflow and directly hit Zero's head dart. The moment of collision, Zero's head dart directly cut it into pieces. Seeing this, Belial also hurriedly dodged sideways. Obviously, it did not expect that Zero's head dart would be so powerful and so sharp that even it would be accidentally injured. At this time, Zero also seized the opportunity and dived down quickly. In an instant, he came behind Belial. When Belial was avoiding the head dart and had no time to pay attention, Zero stretched out his hands and grabbed Belial's battle device. The two sides began a strength competition and were deadlocked. At this moment, Zero held Belial's battle device with both hands, then flipped back in the air, pulling Belial's hands back, and the head dart happened to fly back at this time. Belial was hit hard from the front by Zero's head dart, and Belial screamed. With Belial's scream, the battle device in his hand also broke away from his hand, and Zero's head dart also returned to Zero's head. It was obvious that Zero had the upper hand in this round. Belia, who finally stabilized his body, was obviously a little irrational at this time, and rushed towards Zero directly in anger. This reckless attack gave Zero another chance to beat him up. Zero pushed away Belial's attacking hands, and then his feet flew into the air with force, giving Belial a series of kicks. Belia was hit, retreated several steps, and then launched an attack on Zero again. Seeing this, Zero kicked again. Belia grabbed him with his hand. Zero broke free instantly and kicked in the air. Belia dodged. Zero, who broke free, immediately kicked back, and Belia rolled sideways to avoid it. Zero took advantage of the situation and threw several straight punches in a row. Belia caught his fist in a panic and held it. Zero shook him off with all his strength and punched him hard, hitting Belia in the chest. Belia retreated several steps again in pain. In order to ease the impact of Zero's heavy punch, Belia stepped on the rocks behind him. After relieving the force of Zero's heavy punch, Belia used the rocks and his legs to attack Zero sideways. Zero was not panicked at all. He used his right foot to jump into the air and kicked Belia's back with a high-pressure whirlwind kick. Belia was kicked and fell heavily to the ground. Belia slowly stood up and rushed towards Zero again. Zero sprinted a few steps and gave Belia a flying kick. Zero's right foot turned into a flame and kicked Belia several meters away. Looking at Belia, who stood up in embarrassment, Zero pronounced, "Belia, it's time to be cut off." Zero's head dart was inserted into the timer by Zero. His hands were in the shape of hand knives and balanced on his chest. He instantly let go of his hands and fired the Zero timer beam. A huge blue beam directly hit Belia. The power of the light became stronger and stronger. In just a moment, Belial was blown away by the light and fell directly into the lava flow of the cemetery, followed by a huge explosion. When the Ultra brothers saw Lee being destroyed by Zero, they were also happy and said, "Well done." Oki was also excited and said, "Look, that Ultraman is so handsome." Kumano Masahiko teased, "You guys, is this the only thing you care about?" At this time, everyone on the panelong laughed out loud to celebrate this victory after surviving the disaster. And the Leo brothers also arrived at this time. "Is everyone okay?" Then Leo turned around and told Zero, "Zero, the most urgent thing is to send the energy core back to the Kingdom of Light." Zero said solemnly, "I know." As soon as Zero finished speaking, the cemetery shook violently. Everyone was shaken by the violent shaking. After the violent shaking, the souls of the monsters killed by Zero rushed to the magma where Belia was buried. At this time, the magma began to roll continuously, and then there were continuous explosions. After the explosion, a huge monster appeared in front of everyone. This was the gathering of all the cemetery monsters in Belia, the 100-body monster Beliuda. The head is Bemonston, the left corner is composed of 13 monsters such as Red King and Knuckle, and the right corner is Metron, and Tora, Bermuda and 15 other monsters. There are as many as tens of thousands of monsters on the body. It's hard not to wonder if this guy has pulled all the monsters in the entire monster graveyard out to work. Zeton, Ponton, King Air, Guden, Jakuma, Galzan, Super Gob, Gatangia, Sophia, Deadpool, Zogpadron, Gragram, Bakron, Beraba, King Jumbo. A crazy voice sounded, "Can you beat me with just you?" Oki stuttered in horror. That, and that, all the monsters are gathered together. What kind of monster is this? It seems that this battle will never end if we don't deal with this guy. The last battle, everyone, go all out, go. Zero flew up first, and the other rows followed closely. Maximum used Super Gigantamax again, turning into a 1,000-meter giant. Maximum Galaxy burned with the flames of the Phoenix, and the 400,000 light-year Super Galaxy Longsword appeared again. The Galaxy Sword fell, and Bellodora raised an arm made of various monsters and aliens to release various energy attacks, blocking the Galaxy Sword. Xeno, Neus, and 721 raised together to take charge of Maximum's supergiantization, but in front of a giant and a larger monster, the trio's attacks seemed a little powerless. The first generation flew flexibly beside Bellodora, and the Specium Ray was constantly output to Bellodora. Eddie used the buckle light speed and aimed at the cold air monster Magdon on Bellodora. Astrax stood on Bellodora's body first, and then kicked Bellodora's body, but for Bellodora's terrifying size and defense, this kick was no different from a mosquito bite. Bellodora shook its huge body, causing Astra to lose balance. Then, a flash of lightning came out from its eyes, knocking Astra to the ground. At this time, Zero and Leo used the fire kick at the same time. As soon as they kicked Bellodora, they were blown away by the electric shock released by Bellodora. Dinah followed closely and released the Soldier Ray, but was caught by Bellodora's huge palm, and then Dinah was thrown to the ground. Zamshur and Mebius combined their swords to open a gap in a part of Bellodora's body, but the wounds they inflicted on Bellodora's body healed immediately. Gamora, Zeton, attacked together. Gamora, Zeton. Gamora and Zeton activated their X transformations, unleashing all their potential. Super shockwaves and 1 trillion degree fireballs attacked Bellodora's body. A physical attack and a super high temperature 1 trillion degree fireball actually caused the highest damage in a short period of time. But the good times didn't last long. Gamora and Zeton, who launched the attack from the ground, were also knocked to the ground by a part of Bellodora's tail. Bellodora's power has exceeded everyone's imagination. Belia in Bellodora's body once again transmitted his voice to the entire monster graveyard and said, "Next, welcome your demise." Countless rays of light containing destructive power scattered, and none of the Ultra Warriors and Brachiosaurus were spared. As Belial's opponent before, Zero attracted the greatest hatred and suffered the most attacks. In this energy ray, Zero was hit hard and flew backwards to the vicinity of the plasma spark energy source. Stand up, Ultraman Zero. Ultraman Zero seemed to hear a voice while he was unconscious. Old man. Ultraman Zero looked up, and in the darkness, the figure of the King of Ultraman was emitting dots of golden light. Look. Ultraman Zero waved his hand, and two projections of the Kingdom of Light appeared in front of Ultraman Zero, but one was the Kingdom of Light with the plasma spark energy source, and the other was the Kingdom of Light without the plasma spark energy source. Your hometown, your friends, and your family are all waiting for you to save them. Stand up, Ultraman Zero. Ultraman Zero. Ultraman Zero stood up with his seriously injured body and looked at his elders, master, and companions who were still fighting with Belladora. Zero dragged his body and staggered to the front of the plasma spark energy source. Plasma spark, I'm Zero. You should still remember me. I'm the second person after Belia who wanted to touch you and gain your power. Zero stretched out a hand and said, I'm sorry, I have to do that again this time. I need to gain the power to protect everyone. The horrifying high temperature burned Zero's body in an instant, but he didn't stop. Knowing how powerful Belladora was, he understood that only by borrowing the power of the plasma spark energy source could he have hope of defeating Belladora. Holy light, please give me strength. It's great. When I was sad, because of the person I liked, the last single boy in our class, except me also got married. Haha. Chapter 433. The basement door has been opened. Brothers, the hanged man has been updated. I can finally have such a dream. Praise you, the great master of the basement, Zero. Stop. Stop it. You will be killed. Even Beria noticed Zero, and he laughed loudly, his tone full of mockery. Idiot. Even a strong man like me can't control it. Is it possible for a weak person like you to master the plasma spark energy source? You will be tortured to death in endless pain. It hurts. It hurts. Zero's left hand has melted, but he didn't stop. Why do you want my power? Is it you? The energy source of plasma sparks. In the small dark room before, a light source as dazzling as the sun suddenly appeared in front of Zero. It's me. Why do you risk being killed by my power to get my power? Why? Because I want to teach that bastard a lesson. Then what? Save the others and take you back to the Kingdom of Light. Then what? Hearing the question about the plasma spark energy source, Zero took a deep breath and said, then give that to Seven. The bastard punched him and asked him why he didn't want me back then. What about the last thing? Finally, call him father. Outside world. The plasma spark energy source suddenly burst out with extremely dazzling light at this moment. This is. The holy light chose Zero. No. This is impossible. Belial's eyes widened in Belladora's body. He would not do anything no matter what. I can't believe that this fledgling kid can actually gain the power of the plasma spark energy source. This is impossible. Even Beria couldn't obtain the power. How could he, a weakling, obtain this power? Zero's arm melted by the plasma spark energy source reassembled, and there was a sacred inscription on the arm. The plasma spark energy source actually actively integrated into Zero's body at this moment. Zero's entire city has undergone earth-shaking changes. Asshole. Die. Belia suddenly felt that his body, Belladora, was out of control. He wanted to interrupt the fusion of Zero and the plasma spark energy source, but he had to get rid of your out of control body first. Just now, Raymond stood up slowly and saw the gigabit fighting instrument not far in front of him. He staggered towards the gigabit fighting instrument. Lei looked at the shining fighting instrument in his hand and recalled in his mind what Mebius said to him. Bloodline is not absolute as long as there is something in your heart. Light. Everyone can become an ultra warrior. It's also a battle instrument, and my power should be controllable. Raymond fully activated his power, and Leonix's form appeared again. He held the shining fighting instrument in his hand, and then he pressed close to a small crack that was broken by the ultra bracelet before the gigabit fighting instrument, and shouted loudly, "Monsters, obey my command." The two fighting instruments sensed each other instantly. The same light was released, and then everyone saw that the entire Hydra was out of control, and there were even signs of disintegration. You bastard. Beerria's will swept over with the crazy will of many monsters, and he wanted to directly obliterate Raymond's consciousness. Faced with the extremely terrifying attack of thoughts, Raymond's mind went blank, but his movements did not waver at all. Even if his head was about to explode, Raymond still did not give up the order to disintegrate. Why? You are Leonix too. Why are you trying to stop me? Because. Raymond's empty eyes quickly focused, and his will was transmitted to Beerria's mind. I'm also an Ultra Warrior. Ah! Exclamation mark exclamation mark. Hydra's huge body began to tremble violently, and the monsters on this body began to gradually decompose under the influence of Raymond. How could Zangeo not seize this opportunity? Brother Leo, release the fusion light and attack Beerria's chest. Maximum, who was knocked back to his original form, regained his full energy with the help of Gino. Under the illumination of the plasma spark energy source, he broke through his own limits and became a 3,000 meter high super and dynamite. Maximum. At this moment, Maximum is only one head shorter than Beludra, who is 4,000 meters tall. Maximum Galaxy Cannon. Maximum Galaxy Cannon with terrifying penetrating power hit Beludra in the lower abdomen. Beludra, who was already disintegrating, was even more overwhelmed at this moment. Hikari, Zamsha, and friends, I feel your power. Guys, Sally go. Gig. Ultraman Mebius flamed the heroic form. Super Mumbeam explodes. Zamsha Hoshi's Angan was sheathed, and when he pulled it out again, the most terrifying sword energy in history hit Beludra's body, causing Beludra's body, which had been supporting her, to completely start disintegration. You can't be compared with the children. Eddie. Yes. The golden Specium beam and the golden Shakuzium beam are fired at the same time. Senior. After this battle, I will go home. Dinner rose into the sky and released Soldier's light again. I'm so late for being late. I'm so sorry. Fortunately, I caught up with the decisive battle. Jonius used Planum's ray, and blue energy balls crashed into Beludra. Everyone, it's time to fight side by side with Ultraman. Captain Hinata activated all the weapon forms on the Brachiosaurus and said to the crew, stick up your energy. After the battle, I invite you to go vacation at the Mars resort. I'm so excited. The captain is actually asking for a treat. This is much more exciting than with Ultraman. Stop talking nonsense. Ex-Gamora and Ex-Zetan looked at each other. Super shock waves shattered the space, and a 1 trillion degree fireball with a true temperature of 1 trillion degrees attached a piece of Beludra's body to the nearby body. The environment was burned into a vacuum. Looking carefully, it seems that the 1 trillion degree fireball hit a Zetan. Sero, bathed in the sacred light, holds the war blade and rises into the sky. Beerria. Goodbye. Sharp blade. Unforgettable double ultimate killing sword. Double ultimate killing sword turned into a 1,000-meter giant sword, slashed with one sword, and killed Beludra split into two. I won't give up. The whole universe must be mine. Let me help you. Crush this ambition. Beludra's body burst out with dazzling light from the cracked place. It can be imagined that a terrifying explosion is about to happen here. At this moment, the space changed, and Zangeo appeared in the sky above the Kingdom of Light. I wrote hello later, so I don't care about the fluctuations in combat power. Just think that the space in the monster graveyard is weak, and can be easily broken by Gamora. At that time, I even thought about not moving Infinite Phoenix out. Chapter 434. Happy ending is the best. What happened? It's the king. That's right. The king must have moved us out. Old man. At this moment, an Ultra King who was dealing with the explosion in the monster cemetery frowned and found that something seemed to have escaped. Forget it. Let me in that universe worry about it. Plasma Spark Tower. The plasma spark energy source was separated from the energy timer on Zero's chest. The plasma spark energy source with terrifying high temperature seemed to have no temperature in Zero's hands, allowing Zero to hold it. Go, Zero. Under the injection of everyone, Zero gently placed the plasma spark energy source on the base. The next moment, the sacred light illuminated the entire Kingdom of Light. In a ray of light, the Brachiosaurus stopped on the land of the Kingdom of Light. This is the land of light. the hometown of Ultra Warriors. Oki jumped on the Brachiosaurus and rolled on the land of light. Oh my god, we actually came here. Oki. Captain Hyuga stepped forward and grabbed Oki's ears and pulled Oki up from the ground. Captain. It hurts. Get up. You've embarrassed yourself to the Ultra Heart. The figure of the future appeared in this light curtain, and Raymond got off the ship with the help of the crew. Lei, this time, thank you so much. The future came to Raymond and bowed sincerely to thank him. No, nothing. Raymond helped the future up and said, thank you too. Thank you Ultra Warriors for making me firm in my belief. Birth and blood are not absolute. As long as there is light in the heart, everyone can become an Ultra Warrior. Well said, Ray. The first generation and Eddie turned into human bodies and came to the crowd. We will consider adding this sentence to the textbooks of Ultra Elementary School. It's Milner. Want to go to the Kingdom of Light? Eddie asked. Really? Of course, but the light of the Kingdom of Light is still too strong for humans, so you can only go in this special protective shield. That's fine. We are the first people to see the Kingdom of Light with our own eyes. Captain. Let's go, Captain. Hinata looked at the first generation and Eddie nodded and said, then I'll trouble you. The first generation held the Brachiosaurus and the protective shield and took everyone to visit the Kingdom of Light. The place they were going to was the Ultra Plaza under the Plasma Spark Tower. Teacher Eddie. A clear voice with a hint of naivety rang out, and Zeta jumped off the wheelchair and ran towards Eddie. Zeta. Eddie picked up Zeta and asked, are you not injured? I'm fine. Then why do you want to sit in a wheelchair? Hearing this, Zoffy, who was pushing the wheelchair, laughed out loud, and Ace, who was standing beside him, couldn't help but cover his face. 10 minutes ago. Ace, I can actually walk by myself. Brother Zoffy, you were injured so badly, and later you gave the light to Eddie. You should rest for a while. Brother Ace. Captain Zoffy. Zeta. After the three Ottos gathered, because Zeta, who had never seen a wheelchair, revealed that he wanted to sit in a wheelchair to experience what it felt like. Zoffy, who wanted to walk by himself, just took the downhill road and gave the wheelchair to Zeta and personally pushed Zeta to Ultra Square and said very seriously, this is a reward for Zeta's previous heroic performance. In response, Ace could only follow them helplessly. Father Ultra and Mother Ultra each held one of Taiga's hands and led the jumping Taiga to Ultra Plaza. At this moment, they were no longer Ultraman, the captain of the Space Guard, and Mother Ultra, the captain of the Silver Cross Army, who were admired by all the AO, but a pair of warm and harmonious retired elderly people who took care of their grandchildren at home. In response, Taro followed behind the three AO with a sour look. Suddenly, a slender figure came over and took Taro's arm. Let's go. Yeah. Taro nodded and said, Scene invited me to host his wedding. Let's go together. Okay. On the other side, Scene was sitting in a wheelchair and Oil was pushing the wheelchair gently behind him. A few hundred meters away was a teammate of Scene. Jack took the Ultra Bracelet from Hickory. The Ultra Bracelet, which was almost scrapped in the battle with Belia, was barely restored under Hickory's emergency rescue. You should be careful in the future and try not to use the Ultra Bracelet. Hickory said, the Ultra Bracelet is seriously damaged. I don't know how the predecessor made the Ultra Bracelet. The original Ultra Bracelet is different from the mass-produced version. No matter how bad it is, I can't repair it. Well, thank you, Hickory. Jack carefully put away the Ultra Bracelet. This is not only his partner, but also a relic left to him by his father. Hickory. Mebius' voice came from behind Hickory. You are here, Mebius. You are, Zamsha. Hickory looked behind Mebius and suddenly found an old acquaintance. Long time no see, Sword. Zamsha nodded to Hickory in a high and cold manner and said, when I defeat Mebius, I will challenge you next. At any time. The Nightsaurus separated from Mebius's Nightsaura and returned to Hickory's wrist. Leo and Astra also came to Ultra Star for the first time. Looking at this planet that was almost blown up by Mac, both of them were a little curious about how Ultra Star was able to travel through 3 million light years in a few days. In this regard, Leo could not forget the experience of the Ultra Brothers, who were so heroic and almost sent themselves to the crematorium. A little boy in red and silver took the hand of a blue girl and said, hurry up, Sora. If you are late, you will not be able to see the King of Ultra. He is a legendary Superman in our kingdom of light. Got it, Libert? Let the two of us take you to run. Two Ultra warriors appeared behind Libert and Sora and asked, Grey Senior, Power Senior, come on. If you don't come, you will miss it. On the Ultra Square, the King of Ultra stood on the high platform, looking at the Ultra warriors below. The first generation held the Brachiosaurus in his hand, and stood with Jack, who regained the super bracelet. For a moment, even the King of Ultra could not distinguish the first generation. 7 was uneasy, and his eyes kept looking for something, but when he saw the person he was looking for, he quickly turned his eyes away and only dared to look at him with his peripheral vision. He was uneasy in his heart, and even when the King of Ultra was speaking, he didn't listen to a word, and his mind was completely attracted by the figure on the Plasma Spark Tower. Zero stood on the Plasma Spark Tower. He had already seen the person in the distance, but he only dared to look at the other person with his peripheral vision. He wanted to take a closer look, but he didn't dare to turn his head, for fear of being discovered by the other party. He could only pretend to be looking at the scenery on the Plasma Spark Tower. Zeta stood in a wheelchair and looked at the Ultra King on the platform. Zophie and Ace stood behind the wheelchair on the left and right. Zeta's eyes were attracted by the figure standing on the Plasma Spark Tower. He is so handsome. I heard that he is the hero who saved the Kingdom of Light this time. If I can become his disciple, I will definitely be as powerful as him. Taro's family stood together. Tega was held in the arms of Ultra Father. The only thing missing was a family photo, that is, a blue figure. Hikari, Zamsha, and Mebius stood together. The three swordsmen stood side by side. Zamsha was not eye-catching at all among the group of Ultramen. The Leo brothers stood side by side, and next to them was the 4-man group, Maximum, Gino, Neus, and 721. Julian stood next to Eddie. Eddie was surrounded by a group of children. They were all Eddie's students. U40 Ambassador Jonius, as the one who is the most out of tune with the suits and the group of Ultramen, is also contented. The Land of Light is as beautiful as U40. Why would anyone want to destroy such a beautiful planet? Dinah's appearance made the Ultramen of the Land of Light a little curious. This color of Ultraman is not common in the Land of Light. The self-familiar Dinah quickly integrated with a group of native residents of the Land of Light. Looking at the Ultra warriors below the stage, the King of Ultra nodded and delivered a king's speech. Ultra warriors, we have finally regained the power of justice and are standing here again today. However, this does not mean that all evil forces have been eliminated. There are still various threats lurking in the universe. In order to save and help the weak, we must continue to fight. This is the mission of our Ultra warriors. For peace and the future, warriors of the Land of Light, let us embark on a new journey. Ultra Galaxy Legend and the Easter egg is played below. Easter egg 10 walked alone on the road of the Kingdom of Light. This is his hometown, a hometown he has never set foot on in 1,000 years. Even for Ultraman, 1,000 years is long enough, not to mention that Zero is only 5,900 years old. Converted into human age, he is still just a 16-year-old child. At this moment, he suddenly found that everyone around him had left. Before Zero could react to what was going on, a figure appeared behind him. Zero turned his head and saw the other person after hearing the voice. It was 7. 7 and Zero finally met. The Ultra brothers found a way to clear the residents around them and leave the space for the father and son. Looking at this familiar and strange person in front of them, 7 and Zero are worthy of being father and son. The reactions they made were exactly the same. That is silence. Finally, Zero moved. Zero came in front of 7 and raised his fist, but his hand froze in the air for a long time and never fell. 7 couldn't help it and hugged Zero. Father, father, Zero tried to hold back his tears and shouted, Dad, yeah. At this moment, the father and son burst into tears. In the distance, Ultra King smiled and shook his head and found Mebius and the other two in the Ultra Dojo. King exclamation point quote asterisk 2. You are Ultra King. Zamsha recognized Ultra King at a glance and Ultra Square as the old man who beat him up with a wooden sword before. See you again, Zamsha. Ultra King smiled and nodded to Zamsha and asked, how does it feel to find something you want to protect? Zamsha didn't say anything, but from the slightly raised corners of his mouth, it can be seen that he seems to be in a good mood. 3 capsules appeared in Ultra King's hand, with the appearance of Maculus, Huangdom and Akira printed on them. Please pass this to 7 for me. Easter egg 1. End. Regarding the question of why no one died in Belial's big fight, I don't want to write that kind of painful plot. I want to see a happy and pure love ending. Chapter 435 Ultra Galaxy ends. The last screening content. Ultraman Tigger. The Kingdom of Light. When he saw that Zero finally hugged him and called him daddy, the big stone in Seven's heart finally fell. Before that, Seven only felt that the light particles in his body were disordered. The light particles were running around in his body. His arms were weak, his heartbeat was accelerated, and his spirit was tense. He was afraid. He was afraid. He even thought that, as long as Zero could forgive him, no, even if Zero punched him in the face, as long as Zero didn't coldly call him Senior 7. Fortunately, Zero recognized him. That's enough. Let the future think about the future. 7 now just wants to immerse himself in this short happiness. And his 3 old friends, the 3 capsule monsters, that protected him as a civil servant to perform tasks in the universe were also resurrected by the King of Ultra. This is really a perfect happy ending. But why didn't his future wife appear? Unlike 7 who was immersed in happiness, Tarikia keenly observed that there was no trace of himself in the previous group of Ultramen. According to Taro's character, it is impossible for him not to call himself to go. So excluding the possibility that he will die in 10,000 years, combined with the Tregia not crazy and running away from home form that appeared in the video of Commander Hikari before, and the blue guy mentioned by Baba, Tregia has a 50% chance of being sure that the blue shadow who gave the Jigga fighting device to that idiot Baba to release Belia and incited a series of cosmic people including Knuckle, Pedon, Commander Black, etc. to attack the Land of Light is himself. Tregia does not understand why he would do such a tasteless thing if that guy is really him. Even if he is crazy, he will not do such a thing as controlling a group of people to invade the Land of Light. It is not that his sense of justice is so strong, but this approach is really too bad. Easter egg 2. Outside the Land of Light, the King of Ultra is quietly waiting for someone. I'm here, King of Ultra. King of Ultra smiled and said to Dinah, thank you very much for your contribution to this universe, Ultra Warrior from other universes. No, no, no. Dinah said quickly, this is what an Ultra Warrior should do. Yeah. King of Ultra stroked his beard, and a macro portal quietly opened beside him. King of Ultra said to Dinah, behind this door is your universe. I adjusted the time for you. It is 1 year after you left your universe. Really? Dinah's eyes lit up. He has been away from home for many years. He also notes that the flow between different universes is different. What he fears most is that one day he will find the way home, but when he returns home, his home has changed a lot. What is waiting for him is only a grave and the dry bones in the tomb. Go. Ultraman Dinah. King of Ultra nodded and said, Asuka, it's time to go home. Did a universe. Damn it. The members of the Super Victory team drove the Victory Condor to fight a space monster from outer space. It's so abominable that they came to mess up on such a critical day. Be careful. Captain. Look at that light. What light? Wait, that's Soldier light. A ray of blue light hit the space monster accurately, and the space monster turned into dust. Dinah. It's him. He's back. Liang burst into tears in the cockpit, covering his mouth and trying not to cry out. Flying bird. Mars base. The Super Victory team's plane and Dinah landed at the same time. Dinah turned into a ray of light and turned back into a Sukashin. You little brat. How dare you leave the team for so long without permission? I'm going to punish you. No, I'm going to expel you directly. You're expelled. Captain Zibby grabbed Asuka's ears and ordered him. No, Captain. Captain Zibby rubbed Asuka's hair fiercely and pushed him in front of Liang. Senior, I'm back to protect you. Easter egg to end. Although everyone in the screening room didn't know the story of Asuka and Liang, they were still very happy to see the happy endings. Happy endings are still the best. Knife. Who wants that kind of thing? Easter egg 3. It will start in 1 minute. Friends who guess the theme of the Easter egg in advance can get a small gift. There is a third Easter egg. Who could it be? Zero and 7 represent the kingdom of light. Dinah is from another universe. Who else? Zamsha? It shouldn't be. Zamsha went to duel with Mebius and Hickory, so it should be outside the kingdom of light. Then, could it be the story of Raymond and the others returning to Earth? It is indeed possible, but the screening room doesn't seem to agree. Thanos. Could it be Belia? Thanos answered correctly, and the small gift will be distributed after the Easter egg. Ace, no way. How could it really be Belia? Hickory, he is not dead. Tony Stark, how did he survive this level of explosion? Bruce Wayne, Belia was in Belladora's body at the time, but he just happened to avoid Zero's double ultimate swords, and then the King of Ultra caught him and put him back into the space prison. This is the most reasonable statement. Bruce Wayne, at least that's what I think. In the Kingdom of Light, K-76 planet, the King of Ultra frowned. He had felt that his expression in that world was not right before. He sent out a thought and got the answer a moment later. It seems that the problem is not big. We can continue to drink tea and fish. Title recycles 2/6. Easter egg 3 starts on an asteroid belt. A dark figure gradually opened his eyes. In his eyes, there was endless tyranny and murderous intent. Easter egg 3 end. Hickory, Belia is still alive. Ace, where did this guy escape to? Hickory, when I go back, I will reinforce the space prison. We will directly prevent this disaster from happening at the source. Ace, okay. Is there anything I can help you with? Hickory, I need all the observation data of the space prison. Father of Ultra, no problem. I will have them send it to the Science and Technology Bureau immediately. Ultra Galaxy Legend has been played in its entirety. Many thanks to the special guest, Ultra Father Kane, for his commentary. Ultra Father, no, it's nothing. It's not even a small favor. 5-minute break. The last screening of Ultra Legend begins. Screening content. Ultraman Tigger, I miscalculated. I still have 2 days to get the medal for updating 10,000 words a day. Chapter 436 Ultraman Tigger starts. How come it's so fast? It's already the last show of this live broadcast. It should be, because we took a break in the middle, so it feels like this live broadcast is not very long. Ultraman Tigger, does your Kingdom of Light have this Ultraman? Ace, there is no matching item in the census system of the Kingdom of Light. It should be an Ultraman from another universe, just like that Ultraman Dinah. Peter Parker, it would be great if I could see the Ultraman related to the light on me. So far, I only know that the Ultraman I transformed into is called Next, and he has some relationship with Ultraman Noah. Wanda, isn't there a video on demand coupon? The screening room also said that there will be a fixed video on demand coupon for each screening. As long as you use the video on demand coupon, you will have the hope of watching Next story on demand. Peter Parker, there is a video on demand coupon, but I may not be able to draw it. Thanos, maybe you can use the fixed lottery opportunity. The fixed lottery in the screening room should be able to help you. Constantine, maybe I can get a reward card that can be used to treat lung cancer. Strange, how are you now? Constantine, I feel worse and worse, but I should be able to hold on for a while. Strange, so you should stop smoking. Can't you just quit smoking? Exclamation mark. Constantine, it's okay. Smoking the cigarettes in the cinema won't cause lung cancer. Strange. Ace, if I can get the on-demand coupon, I'd like to see the child who became Zeta. Bruce Wayne, the child who broke free from Belia's control in the Ultra Galaxy? That child has great potential. If he is well trained, he will be an amazing warrior in the future. Ace, indeed. I want to know more about the source of the color on Zeta's body. Magneto, what's wrong with the color? Guan, Zeta has black on his body, and his eyes are different from ours. Ace just wants to know more about Zeta. Judging from the future relationship between him and Zeta, it should be similar to that between Ace and Zoffy. Ace, yes, I was raised by brother Zoffy, and I have a hunch that Zeta and I should have the same relationship. Bruce remained calm, but his heart was still a little disturbed. Another person like him. It seems that the screening room is specially selecting these unfortunate people to be together. At present, it seems that the guy with the most perfect family is Loki. However, if it follows the original timeline, he will soon become an orphan and depend on his brother for life. What is this? A quirk? Time passed little by little, and soon, subtitles appeared in the screening room. Ultraman Tiga on Air Episode 1 The Giant in the Pyramid. In the early 21st century, hatred and fighting gradually decreased, and nature was slowly recovering its beautiful appearance. The wish of all creatures on this planet, peace, seemed to have finally arrived, but little did they know that at this moment, a great change began. A giant meteorite fell from the starry sky to the earth, and the TPC Far East headquarters sent the Flying Swallow to investigate the situation. At this moment, on the Mongolian plain, the earth cracked, and the mountains shook, and a terrifying giant beast crawled out from the ground. On the Flying Swallow, there were 2 members of the victory team. The one sitting in the driving seat was Lina, the relays pilot of the victory team, and the man in the back seat who looked and sounded as if he was a stranger was named Yuan Dagu. Dagu, what is that? It's a monster. No. The monster is heading towards the village. Lina said to Dagu nervously. We have to try to change the direction of the monster's movement and send a flare to scare it first. Dagu said to Lina. Then Lina fired 2 flares at the monster as Dagu said. Instantly, smoke and dust rose up. The monster, startled by the flares, dug the ground hard. A huge hole was formed in a moment. The monster quickly got into it and disappeared. Seeing the monster disappear, Dagu and Lina drove the Flying Swallow back to the TPC headquarters. At this time, an emergency meeting was held in the headquarters. All the members of the victory team were on the scene and were cutting and studying the meteorite. This is not a natural meteorite, but a man-made one. A fat team member was a little confused. He was a researcher of the victory team, digging well. He and another team member, the victory team's dead card pilot Xincheng, worked hard together to separate the outer shell of the meteorite bit by bit. After the meteorite was cut open, there was a conical mechanical instrument inside. Instantly, all the lights in the headquarters went out. Just when everyone was nervous, a projection suddenly lit up. A woman in a white robe appeared from the instrument. Jujing thought she seemed to be saying something, so Jujing took out a language translation machine to translate it. At this time, Nori also turned on the computer and cooperated with Daijing's actions. Soon, the other party's language was translated. I'm Yaoyan, the leader of the Earth Guard Corps. The arrival of this time machine on Earth means that something big is about to happen on Earth. The first sign is the resurrection of the monster Galzan that shakes the earth and the monster Melba that breaks the sky. The only one who can protect the earth from the disaster of mutation is the giant in the pyramid. The giant was once the guardian of the earth. He hid his body used for fighting in the huge pyramid, and then restored his soul to the appearance of light, and returned to his hometown. My descendants, your current mission is to revive the giant, defeat Galzan and Melba. There is only one way to revive the giant, and that is to let the sound and image disappear here. Screening room. Wanda, no way, this woman in white was not sent by the screening room. Why did she stop writing at the critical moment? Logan, now I really think that person has something to do with the screening room. This pause is just too similar. Guang, now we can be sure that this is at least a parallel world of our kingdom of light. Ace, the timeline doesn't match ours. In our world, the kingdom of light and humans only came into contact for a few decades, but this Ultraman should have come to Earth a long time ago. Ace, and the way of leaving the body behind and turning the soul into light is unheard of. Peter Parker, if I'm not mistaken, this giant is Ultraman Tigger, Captain America. Then the question is, what is the method to revive Tigger? Finally, we've written about Tigger. Let me say first, don't argue about the data. Data is just for fun. Tsuburaya himself is just playing with books, and you're still arguing with a second creation fan. Chapter 437 The key to the revival of the giant is Dagu. The video continues. Dr. Jayankin thinks that Yaoyan's statement is a bit too outrageous, but Dagu insists that Yaoyan's words are true for some reason. Others have raised more objections to this. First Deputy Commander Zanfang believes that the monster that appeared on the Mongolian plains may not be the Galzan that Yaoyan said to tear the earth apart. Dr. Jayankan said that, if you think that the words in this time machine are true, then you have to admit that a civilization better than them humans existed on Earth a long time ago. Logically speaking, what Dr. Jayankan said is actually correct, but Peter's words were not understood by others, but this kind of thing was really full of surprises for him. The analysis results of the meteorite came out, and they inferred that the formation period of this meteorite should be between 270,000 and 380,000 centuries BC, that is, 30 million years ago. And at this time, the image of the monster came from the island of Istanbul. A monster with wings on its back, and a head like a dragon revived from the mountains, and roared under the full moon. It's Melba. Dagu said as if he had read a script. Merba is the monster that caused the sky to collapse. The earth is undergoing a change now. Yao Yen is right. All this is true. Galzan appeared, Melba also appeared, and the only thing left is the giant in the pyramid. Where should the pyramid be? Dagu was stumped by the question, with an expression that said, "You ask me, who should I ask?" Just then, Nori suddenly said, "Captain, look at this." Nori released the image, and a beam of light suddenly appeared over the Pacific Ocean. The beam of light shot straight into the sky, but disappeared after a moment. TPC's detection satellite has discovered something unusual. If the language is true, I think that light must be inextricably linked to the giant in the pyramid. But isn't the pyramid in Egypt? Why is it in the Pacific Ocean? This pyramid is very likely a building from 30 million years ago. God knows what the situation is. Besides, even now, it's not only Egypt that has pyramids. Many countries in America have more or less pyramid-like buildings. Okay, the chat time is over. Victory team, move out. 3 victory swallows were flying over the Pacific Ocean. Looking at the endless Pacific Ocean, Jujing couldn't help but said, "Really? How could there be a pyramid in a place like this?" Jujing, look quickly, a pyramid. Stop it, there's clearly nothing on the radar. Really, you idiot, look up and use your eyes to see. Xinchen grabbed Jujing's head. Before Jujing had time to complain, the expression on his face changed from dissatisfaction to surprise. There really is a pyramid. Jujing, Xinchen, what's going on with you? In the victory team base, the captain couldn't help asking, "We didn't see anything here." Report, I'm Zanfang. The deputy commander said calmly to the microphone, "I'm very sober now, and I can guarantee that what's in front of me is not a mirage. I'm now using my position as a guarantee that we can indeed see a pyramid with an estimated height of more than 100 meters. The pyramid is light gold in color and has a triangular pyramid shape. It cannot be observed by radar. It is built on a piece of land in the sea. There are trees and mountains on the land. The area cannot be predicted. I'm asking other people about their situation now." Report, I'm Dagu. The radar on the plane can't scan the pyramid, but I did see the pyramid. Report, I'm Lina. My situation is the same as Dagu's team. Captain, please give instructions. Just as the captain began to think, a voice suddenly appeared in Dagu's mind calling his name. Dagu was like a demon, driving the plane towards the sea rock. "Dagu, what are you doing? Dagu, stop right there, you bastard. Danger. Team member Dagu, if you hear me, please answer. Team member Dagu." Dagu didn't hear the shouts of his teammates. He was like a possessed man. He jumped off the plane without even stopping it, and then ran quickly towards the pyramid. Dagu seemed to know the terrain here. He quickly crossed the mountains and came to the edge of the pyramid. His teammates could only find ways to bypass various obstacles and keep chasing Dagu. "Dagu, danger, come back quickly." Everyone tried to contact Dagu using communication equipment on the way, but as soon as they entered this continent, the communication equipment failed directly, and even Lina in the sky could not be contacted. Command, let's chase. Catch up with Dagu. Even if we knock him out, we must bring him back. Chasing all the way, Dagu came to the bottom of the pyramid. He stretched out his hand and touched the pyramid. The pyramid was like a phantom. Dagu gently touched the pyramid and then rushed in. Screening room. Loki Odinson, I thought it would be the same as the first Ultraman. That Ultraman Tigger also chose to protect the earth and justice with the mortal Dagu who was killed by him after a disaster. I didn't expect it to be a different start. Ace, who do you think called Dagu? That Ultraman Tigger? But didn't Tigger's soul turn into light and leave the earth a long time ago? Wonder, could it be Urine? She gives me the feeling of a guide NPC who guides new players. Constantine. Urine said before that there is only one way to revive the giant, but the recording ends here. I think maybe it didn't just break, but it was a way to keep it secret? Strange. I think I understand what you mean. The way to revive the giant should be a secret. Once it is leaked, there may be big problems. So Urine encrypted this message, so that only specific people can hear it, and that person is Daegu. Loki Odinson. Is that a coincidence? It just so happened that the meteorite was picked up by that mortal? Holy lord. Foolish false god. First of all, the stone was not seen by the mortal named Daegu, and secondly, it was not a coincidence that the two met, but because Daegu was where the meteorite would fall. The meteorite followed Daegu. Captain America. In other words, the key to the revival of the giant is Daegu. Let me remind you guys first, I made secondary creations without violating the outline of the original work. For example, the pyramids that were originally on land were changed to be on, or, because Gatangier is in the Pacific Ocean, so I also put Tigger's pyramid on the sea, and then Melba and Galzan were strengthened by me like Ultra Galaxy, because it was a pure rewrite of the original plot, and most people didn't want to watch it, and wanted to see something different, so I changed it a little. For example, I will definitely not change the Devil's Trilogy, Devil's Prophecy, Devil's Approval, Devil's Runaway and Foulmouth, because it is too classic. I will change that. I'm a mess, so I will change that. But some, such as the first episode, can be considered my second creation. If you think it's good, then give it a thumbs up. If you think it's not good, then I will continue to write according to the original. If some people think it's good and some don't, then you can fight, and I will listen to whoever wins. Chapter 438, Melba, the monster that collapses the sky. Lina. How are the members of Team Daegu? Captain. Lina was driving the Victory Swallow 3 in the sky, looking at the group of people on the sea and land and said, no. As soon as they entered the sea and land, the communication channel was completely cut off. Victory Team Base. Captain Iruma Hui looked worried. At this time, bad news came from Nori. Captain. It's bad. Melba has started to move. Report the direction immediately. According to the database analysis, there is a 90% probability that Melba's final destination is the sea area where Lina and the others are. Captain Iruma Hui's face suddenly changed. The coincidences of what happened in the past 2 days were so weird, as if they were inevitable. She had a hunch that there seemed to be a voice in Captain Iruma Hui's heart telling her, all this is true. Captain Nori, how long do you predict it will take for Melba to reach the sea where Lina is? Captain Nori. Captain Iruma couldn't hear the sound, and turned to look at Nori. Nori then reacted and said, 3 minutes. 3 minutes at most. Melba's speed is unbelievable. It's horrible. How can its body not be broken apart under such acceleration? And Melba seems to be still accelerating. It is very likely that there are only 2 minutes left. Note 2. Captain Lina, notify them to evacuate immediately. Yes. Screening room. Although I was prepared, the speed of Melba is too fast. Tony couldn't help but say, is this really the speed that a living creature can reach? Bruce Wayne also said, I looked at the map. The island of Istanbul and the sea continent are separated by about half of the Pacific Ocean. It takes 3 minutes to cross half of the Pacific Ocean. Is this the speed that a carbon-based creature can reach? Wonder. When my brother was doing experiments at the Hydra base, the researchers said that he could run around the equator in 1 minute. Bruce Wayne, the difference is actually very big. What is the size of Melba? What is the size of your brother? As long as Melba flies around the city where humans live, it can wipe out human civilization. The speed of Melba determines that its body toughness cannot be low. That level of acceleration is not something that even steel and iron can withstand. Strange. In other words, even if it is Stark's mecha, if you let it accelerate to this point, it will be squeezed into a piece of iron. Aguang. In my world, there seems to have never been a monster with such an absurd speed. Peter Parker. Fortunately, the places where Melba flies are all uninhabited areas, otherwise there would be a lot of people dying. Moreover, can its wings really increase its speed to this extent? The video continues. Hearing this, Lina immediately fired a flare. This is a notification method in an emergency. After listening to Nori's words, Lina also knew the urgency of the situation and directly fired the highest level of flare. That is a flare that can only be used in the most emergency situation. Deputy Commander Zhang Fang saw the flare and immediately ordered, Xincheng Jujing, evacuate immediately, I'm going to bring back that bastard Dagu. But the commander, yes, sir. Compared to Jujing, Xincheng seemed more determined. He grabbed Jujing and ran. We can't just leave them alone. Jujing, tell me, the third rule of the team. In an emergency, obey orders absolutely, then run. Xincheng didn't want to leave, but he knew that only by obeying orders completely could he help the commander the most. When the commander brings that kid Dagu back, I will definitely beat him up. In the pyramid, Dagu stared blankly at the 3 stone statues in front of him. There were 3 giant stone statues that stood tall. Dagu roughly estimated that the stone statue in the middle was the shortest, about 53 meters, while the other 2 stone statues were taller. But the stone statue in the middle was the most handsome. Zhang Fang ran to the side of the pyramid and wanted to rush in. As an experienced old soldier, he shouldn't be so reckless, but there was a team member waiting for him to rescue. But Zhang Fang couldn't get in. The pyramid seemed to have a recognition function, blocking Zhang Fang outside the tower. Damn it. Zhang Fang pulled out his gun, but still didn't shoot. Who knows what's going on inside? What if he fires a gun and triggers the pyramid's defense mechanism, and something happens to the safe Daiko? He will hate himself for the rest of his life. Zhang Fang tried to communicate again, but he contacted Lina outside. I'm Zhang Fang. Daiko, do you hear me? Daiko? Deputy Commander, I'm Lina. Go. Deputy Commander. Melba is coming soon. What? Damn it. How long will it take? Nori said it will take at most 1 minute. The electromagnetic interference layer surrounding the pyramid has disappeared. I'll pick you up now. That's the only way. Zhang Fang punched the pyramid twice and finally had to reluctantly board the victory swallow that came to rescue. Commander, this is Xincheng. Where is that brat Dagu? Still in the pyramid. There is nothing we can do. Retreat. But Dagu. Melba is coming soon, and the collateral damage it causes when flying is enough to completely destroy our plane. I'm sorry, I also want to take Dagu back, but sacrificing a few people for the sake of the majority, this is war. Besides, that brat Dagu may be safer than us in the pyramid. Retreat. The people of the victory team could only evacuate with endless worries, and just when they had just evacuated a distance that was not even very safe, Melba arrived. At this moment, everyone understood why Yaoyan called Melba the Skybreaker. At first glance, Melba was just a small black dot, but in the second, it was already the size of a basin, and in the third second it had already reached the island. A huge wave as high as 100 meters came to the island with Melba. What is the concept of 100 meters? A 33-story building. Billions of tons of seawater swept the entire island in an instant. Trees and hills seemed so vulnerable in front of the 100-meter high waves. Only the pyramid was as stable as a mountain in front of the huge waves, like a magic needle that stabilizes the sea. It did not move at all despite the waves hitting it again and again. The people who saw this scene from a distance with the help of satellite images were barely relieved. At least this pyramid did not cut corners and was not a shoddy project. But at this moment, bad news came from Nori again. Oh no, an underwater volcano is detected to be active. Something is about to drill out from the bottom of the sea. Hot knowledge, Tigger is the first Aoki to write his appearance into the setting. Note 2, the original Melba is certainly not that fast. Of course, this is an enhanced version. The speed of the original Melba is Mach 6, which you can understand as 6 times the speed of sound. I have slightly enhanced it, so it can fly across half of the Pacific Ocean in 3 minutes. The speed is probably Mach 162, I think. I'm not a professional, and there are professional guys who can point out major loopholes. If there are some more annoying ones, such as Melba's body cannot withstand this speed and will explode directly, then there is no need to mention it. I have already banned a nitpicker who keeps arguing with me about this kind of thing. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439 Ultraman Tigger, Powerful Type. The world is turned upside down. For the first time, the members of the Victory team truly realized the meaning of this word. In an underwater volcano, a giant beast emerged from the crater and detonated the nearby underwater lava belt. A magnitude 9 submarine earthquake was triggered, and this would definitely be a natural disaster if it happened in a place where humans live. It was just the beginning of a guy's appearance. That's the terror of the earth. Galzan. Galzan's body was carrying lava, and every step it took would cause a vibration on the seabed. The 100-meter high waves hit its body like small waves and couldn't even slow down its pace. Galzan's high temperature made the surrounding sea water boil in an instant. Galzan slowly rose from the bottom of the sea and it roared to the sky, but before it finished roaring, it saw the guy flying in the sky. Here it comes. It can't fly. Galzan's blood pressure instantly rose to the top. Ultrasonic light. A purple beam of light was emitted from the top of Galzan's head. Galzan didn't want to think about why he was digging for food underground, but his ultimate move was ultrasonic beam. He just wanted to deal with the existence in the pyramid. That made him feel deeply uneasy, and then fight with his mortal enemy Melba. Melba evaded Galzan's attack with a flexible turn. It was hard to imagine that the giant beast that was tens of meters tall and weighed tens of thousands of tons could make such a flexible move. Melba saw that Galzan dealt with it casually and left, so he followed behind Galzan to deal with the terrifying existence that made his blood tremble. That was 30 million years ago. A large number of Galzan and Melba lived on this planet. Later, a group of giants fell from the sky and carried out an inhumane massacre on them. But they are monsters and have no human rights. They were still young and were hidden underground by their elders, avoiding the pursuit of the giants. Later, the giants left and the ruler of darkness came. They hid underground and struggled to survive. The carapace on their bodies was corroded by the breath of the dark ruler. Their bodies were riddled with holes and fell into a deep sleep. They were only awakening slowly now. No, they were not awakening. They were awakened by fear. The breath that made their blood tremble appeared, but it seemed that they had not yet fully awakened. Following the instinct deep in their blood, Galzan and Melba came here together to eliminate the threat from the source. This pair of natural enemies also chose to join forces at this moment to face a more terrifying enemy. On the island, where the sea was surging, Galzan took heavy steps, one step at a time, and set off at tsunami and came to the front of the pyramid. Melba was flying in the sky, and the hurricane it set off made it difficult for the Victory Swallow, which was 1,000 meters away, to stabilize and could only keep moving away. Galzan slapped the pyramid with a palm, and the pyramid did not move at all. Melba spit out a fireball, which exploded on the pyramid, and the surrounding seawater was instantly evaporated. Galzan and Melba saw the situation, and chose to use their own skills to attack. Galzan's ultrasonic beam shattered the pyramid into particles. Melba swooped down with a divine bird special attack, directly grabbed a giant stone statue, and brought it to the sky, and then threw it down hard. Dagu. Seeing the pyramid being destroyed, everyone in the Victory team seemed to have their heartbeats stop for a moment. But Dagu is still in the pyramid. Galzan swept his tail over, and another giant stone statue was also destroyed. Only the last stone statue was left. Galzan pushed the stone statue down with an impact, and his huge foot fell with 10,000 tons of gravity. Just when the giant stone statue was about to be crushed, a miracle happened. A crystal on the giant's forehead burst into dazzling light. When Galzan's foot fell, the stone statue moved. It crossed its arms and blocked Galzan's foot. The energy lamp on the chest lights up blue. Accompanied by the exciting music, the giant revived. He is Ultraman Tigger. I didn't expect Tigger to appear like this. Hikari said, I thought Tigger was summoned by Daegu, but I didn't expect that Daegu turned into light and merged into Tigger's body. We have no way of knowing what happened during that period of time in the pyramid, but Tigger is Daegu. It's a giant. The giant has revived. Lina suppressed the grief in her heart and reported the current situation to the headquarters. But how did it revive? Looking at the revived giant in front of them, Galzan and Melba knew, ugh, it's a big deal. They might be finished. But surrendering without a fight is definitely not the style of the super ancient monster. Galzan and Melba roared and issued a tactical book to the giant. Galzan roared and rushed forward. Facing the impact of Galzan's body weighing 10,000 tons, the giant was not afraid at all. He jumped and hit Galzan's head fiercely with a knife, knocking Galzan dizzy. After Galzan was repelled, Melba swooped down from the sky. The terrifying instantaneous acceleration caused a sonic boom. Although the sound did not reach the giant's ears, the change in the surrounding airflow made the giant know that it was Melba who launched the attack. The giant turned around and dodged Melba's attack. Melba and Galzan collided fiercely. The two giants fell to the ground with a bang and once again set off a huge wave. The giant saw that Galzan, who had fallen to the ground, had a purple light on his head when he stood up. He understood that Galzan was accumulating power and made a decision immediately. The crystal on the giant's forehead lit up red, crossed his arms, accumulated power, and fell. A red light flashed on the giant's body, and a giant with both hands, clenched fists and a body made of red and silver appeared. Ultraman Tigger, powerful type. This ability is very similar to that of the previous Ultraman Dyna. Bruce Wayne, do you remember the name of the Dyna Defense Team? The Super Victory Team. Bruce Wayne, the story of Ultraman Tigger is very likely to have happened before Dyna. Similar name, similar appearance, and similar transformation ability. This is either a parallel universe or a continuation of the past and the present. Strange, according to my observation, when it is red, it should make its own strength greater. Then Tigger is preparing to deal with the power monster Galzan. Galzan's expressiveness was not described in too many words because of the appearance of Tigger. It depends on the situation in the future. Galzan may rebel. Chapter 440, Second Contact, Lightning Mutation. The giant took a step forward and grabbed the head of Galzan, who was charging the purple ultrasonic beam. He grabbed Galzan's head and lifted it up, then threw it to the ground. The tsunami surged. The giant didn't even use his shoulder just now. That is to say, it was not an over-the-shoulder throw, but relied on the powerful force to lift it up and then threw it to the ground. Melba roared and took off. The strong type Tigger was not fast enough and could not keep up with Melba's rhythm. The crystal on the giant's forehead released blue light again and repeated the previous action again, crossed his arms, and fell. The blue light on his body flashed Ultraman Tigger air type. The giant took off and appeared behind Melba in a flash. He kicked Melba at the root of his wings. For all creatures that need wings, wings are important organs second only to their hearts and brains, and the root of the wings is as important as the 7 inches of a snake. With one kick, the giant landed smoothly, and Melba fell flat on his face. The giant turned his head to observe the situation of Galzan, but he didn't expect that Galzan took the opportunity to dig a hole and slip away while the giant was hitting Melba. Looking at the huge hole where the seawater was pouring back, the giant regretted it and made up his mind not to let Melba run away again. At this moment, Melba just wanted to curse, and if there was a chance, he must tell his descendants not to cooperate with the damn Galzan clan no matter what. Looking at the blue giant in front of him, Melba wanted to flap his wings and fly away, but how could the other party give Melba this opportunity? Freezing ray. A ray of light exploded above Melba's head, and the endless cold instantly froze Melba and the nearby seawater. Melba wanted to struggle out of the ice and escape, but there was no chance. Lampart light bullet. The giant, who was full of energy, gathered the energy in his hands, condensed a light bullet, and then threw it at Melba. As Melba cursed Galzan, Melba exploded. The blue giant flew into the sky and disappeared from everyone's sight. Dagu. The battle was over. Lina shouted Dagu's name. Everyone thought Dagu was dead. Hey, 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 it's Dagu, can you hear me? A voice sounded in the communication channel. It was Dagu. Everyone on the victory team showed surprise on their faces. They didn't expect that Dagu, who had been sentenced to death in their minds, was still alive at this moment. The victory swallow quickly approached the sea continent. At the location of the pyramid, Dagu waved his arms and shouted to them. After a while, Everyone, it hurts. You could still feel pain. Shinjo punched Dagu in the stomach. Jujin grabbed Dagu's hair fiercely, and Lina hit Dagu's back while saying she hated it. Shinjo finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Dagu was intact, and then said, "Okay, let this brat go." Command. You kid should be punished. Okay, what happened? I don't know. I felt someone calling me at the time, and then I ran into the pyramid. It was Tigger. Tigger saved me. Tigger? Yes, that giant. His name is Tigger. I see. You're lucky. Let's go back. Yes. Actually, I wanted to call him Giant Mountain Superpower. Fion number 3. Please open maximum to communicate. Ultraman Tigger, the giant in the pyramid, and Ultraman Tigger. Second contact will be shown next. Bruce Wayne looked at the TPC people who accepted this statement without any doubt and wanted to say something, but finally sighed. Too careless. Even if you suspect that Deco is Galzan, it is better than just believing him. Ultraman Tigger, second contact. Lightning anomaly start broadcasting. A cloud of lightning that appears and disappears mysteriously appeared over the Pacific Ocean. In response, TPC sent a meteorological research team led by Dr. Mizuno to investigate this cloud of lightning that appears and disappears mysteriously. Weijing was also among them, but he was not present today because of some things, and Dr. Mizuno is also Weijing's mentor. Seeing this, Peter's heart suddenly skipped a beat. I always feel that something is going to happen. The God's Eye detector has entered the lightning cloud, and Dr. Mizuno is very nervous. This is related to one of his theories. If it is true, then this can be called the first contact. The blonde female doctor looked at the test report and said, "The waveform of this sound is so scary, and amino acids were actually detected in this cloud? Amino acids?" Strange frowned and said, "So there are amino acids in the protein cloud? There are creatures in the cloud? Oh no, this cloud is likely a monster." Dr. Mizuno was still looking at the test report. At this moment, a flash of lightning suddenly struck, and the entire spacecraft fell into turbulence. At this time, deep in the cloud, a group of dark yellow big eyes emitted dangerous light. The camera switches. Weijing looked at the sea from the observation tower of the Victory Team base and said, "I'm so envious. I really hope to go with them." Weijing said that he would go with Dr. Mizuno and others to observe the cloud. At this moment, Weijing didn't know how good his luck was. At this moment, Weijing suddenly received a message asking him to go to the command room. On the other side, the Victory Swallow took off, and it was unknown where it went. Has the information about the cloud come out? Weijing asked as soon as he entered the command room. I really envy Dr. Mizuno. His hypothesis may really be proven. Weijing saw that the expressions of everyone in the command room were not right, and then he realized that something seemed to be wrong. What's wrong? We have lost contact with Dr. Mizuno, and Daegu has already rushed over. What? The cloud's trajectory is very strange, and the cloud is moving towards the land. I'm Daegu. Daegu, who was driving the Victory Swallow, also sent back a message at this moment. The cloud looks very strange. It is changing into the shape of a cocoon. Everyone in the command room discussed it, and Weijing's face showed deep uneasiness. Under too much pressure, Weijing's emotions changed too suddenly, and he broke out. Chapter 441, Lightning Man's Lair, The Crashed Fion Second. Impossible. After realizing his loss of composure, Daijing apologized immediately and said, Drive Mizuno believes that the cloud is the nest of the cretins, that is, the Lightning Man. The nest of the Lightning Man? It will not land on the ground. It is a strange creature that can only live in the air. Then how can it survive? Xinchen questioned recklessly. What is the meaning of its existence? To scare the plane? Then how should I know? But it has never left the ionosphere here. Just then, Dagu's signal was also interrupted due to electromagnetic interference. The cocoon is absorbing electromagnetic waves. Lina and Xinchen immediately set off in the Fion Second. Lina told Xinchen on the plane that she had heard a story from the instructor when she was in the flight class. In the sky, there are creatures that humans have never come into contact with. I heard that they are called cretins. I always thought that it was an urban legend they used to scare new students. Anyway, I don't like creatures that humans on Earth don't know about. Dagu, he should still be alive. Screening room. Wonder, Lina's eyes. It seems that she has a special feeling for Dagu. Captain America, I noticed that pilot when I was in the pyramid. She is a determined warrior. No matter how complicated her feelings for her lover are, no matter how worried she is about Dagu, she will choose to put the mission first. This can be seen from the fact that she was able to remain calm and quickly drive the flying swallow second away from Melba's influence range when she was extremely worried. Diana Prince, this is the basic quality that an excellent warrior should have. Ace, the feelings between people are the weapons and motivation of warriors, but they are definitely not the burden of warriors. Thanos, really? But I saw in your human data that there are many scenes where people are about to face life and death and still hesitate. Constantine, Doctor, what did you give him? Strange, I just gave him some philosophy books. No, did you contact other Earthlings? Thanos, they took the initiative to contact me. Strange. The video continues. Fang looked at the completely abstract computer screen, extremely anxious. In fact, Fang doesn't know how to use a computer at all. I know the origin of this joke, but I don't know how it became popular. Fion second, at this moment, has also lost contact. Damn it. Xincheng gave up the conversation with the command room and said, this guy has bad intentions, why don't we just shoot it down? No. Dagu is still in there. In the command room, Daijing suddenly thought of something. If the God's Eye detector is still in the cloud, then we can receive the God's Eye signal through the satellite, so maybe we can observe the situation inside. Daijing operated the computer for a while, and finally contacted the God's Eye in the cloud cocoon under the interference of super strong electromagnetic waves. This is the lightning nest. But what are those small black shadows? Metal reaction? Jujing slowly raised his head, and he thought of a possibility that he didn't want to think about. He fell down. The cloud cocoon fell, and a giant beast opened its mouth and roared out of the cloud cocoon. A monster appeared in the cloud cocoon. I'm going to attack. Xincheng shouted, and then said, I can't hear it. Xincheng looked helpless, and the strong electromagnetic interference made them lose contact with the base. Fion number 2 fired a laser, and under the control of Lina, the ace pilot, the laser accurately hit the body of the lightning man. The monster's body was in an inverted triangle, so Lina specifically attacked the monster's legs, trying to block the opponent's ability to move. And in the cloud cocoon that the monster broke away from, Lina saw Dagu's plane. Are there any life reactions? Unable to detect in the electromagnetic interference eyes, stop the monster's attack first. Seeing this, a group of veterans nodded. The seemingly cruel approach is actually the most correct approach. War is cruel, and sometimes you have to abandon something. Although Lina is worried, she still chooses to cooperate with Xincheng, and there are more people who need them to save. The monster releases an ionization ball and begins to destroy everything around it. At this moment, in the command room, Daijing starts to activate the Pan language translation device. Are you planning to talk to the monster? Yes, because it may be a creature that we humans have never encountered before. They all belong to the same Earth. The first contact will bring misfortune to each other, but as long as we communicate, maybe we can avoid a war. Do you think it's possible? I don't know, but I want to try. Horii held the language translator and said to Captain Irumakeri, Captain, Dr. Mizuno, he is my mentor. He taught me a truth, that is, fantasy is beautiful. Break the chain of suspicion through communication. Bruce Wayne looked at the chubby and smart Horii on the screen and said, Hoy is a man who has courage, kindness, and beauty in his heart, as well as a tolerant, loving heart and a long-term vision. Bruce Wayne is well aware of himself. His principle of not killing is only for humans. If other monsters, ghosts, and rotten fish and shrimps really provoke him, they will die. Because of this, Wayne has great respect for Daijing, who dares and is willing to communicate with the lightning man who killed his mentor. Daijing already knows that his mentor Mizuno Hiroshi died in the cloud. This is very likely. From the moment Daijing saw the metal fragments in the cloud, Daijing himself understood something. His comrade Dagu was also missing because of the cloud cocoon and the monster in front of him. So Daijing said that the first contact caused misfortune to both sides. Bruce Wayne doesn't know how deep the relationship between Daijing and Dr. Mizuno is, but Daijing calls Dr. Mizuno his mentor, which can prove a lot. Others also have their own feelings, and at the same time, they have a new understanding of this man who looks like a live treasure and entertainment group. And at this time, Fian number 2. It crashed. It's the season of willows flying again, and the classroom is full of catkins. Fortunately, I'm not allergic to this thing, otherwise I will go crazy. The poor guy in our class, who is allergic to catkins, has not dared to leave the dormitory for 2 days. Chapter 442, Gazette. It's delicious, my friend. Lina could only operate the Fian second to make an emergency landing, and the monster's destruction continued. Daijing finally deciphered the other party's cry. A child's voice sounded in the translator. It's delicious. This is the voice of the monster, right? Captain Iruma Raichu, I didn't expect that it was actually successful. She hurriedly asked, can you translate our voice? Hello. Daijing said to the translator, you came from the sky? Stop the violence, okay? On the screen, the monster really stopped, but it was more confused. Doesn't it understand? It's confused. It doesn't know who is talking to it. Daijing said to Captain Iruma Raichu without hesitation, Captain, let me talk to it. Captain Iruma Raichu nodded, and Commander Munakata also told Daijing to be careful. They also want to solve this matter in a peaceful way. On the ground, Shinjo and Lina were evacuating the crowd. At this moment, Shinjo shot Gazette in the head. I'm Hori. Hori flies over in Unit 1. Don't anger the monster. What is that guy talking about? Shinjo holds a gun and says that he has angered it. Lina's eyes are a little disappointed. When she saw Unit 1, she thought it was Deiko who came. That lightning man is also a life on this earth. Captain Iruma Raichu said, but its logic is far from that of us humans. Can it really understand us? Munakata said, I don't know either. In fact, Munakata really doesn't know. Daijing ran to Lina and Xincheng and said, don't attack, I want to talk to it. What are you talking about? Xincheng grabbed Daijing and asked, that monster is attacking humans. I want to talk to it, please. Looking at Daijing's sincere eyes, Xincheng knew that this kid was serious. Xincheng cursed in a low voice, then quickly turned around and left to find a place with a more advantageous geographical location to help Daijing cover. Hello, what's your name? Daijing turned on the translator near the monster and shouted to Gazette, my name is Daijing. This time the monster noticed Daijing's existence and turned its head to look over. When Horiju saw that the dialogue had worked, he quickly said, we are not your enemies, we are friends. Gazette, I like it. Gazette? Listening to the child's voice in the translator, Horiju asked, is that your name? Please don't get angry anymore. Don't attack your friends anymore. Salkata and Iruma Kia looked at Gazette on the screen very nervously. Suddenly, Sokata widened his eyes and said, the dialogue has begun. Friends? Yes. You and I, we are good friends on this earth. Gazette looked at Horiju and said the most horrifying words in a nice child's voice. Friends, delicious. Horiju's first reaction was not to run away, but to check if the machine was broken. But the next second, Gazette opened his mouth and vomited a pile of clothes in front of Horiju. At this moment, Horiju understood everything. Friends are Gazette's food. Screening room. This guy's really a man-eating monster. We thought we could communicate, but in fact, we couldn't communicate at all because of the difference in race and logic of thinking. Bruce Wayne said, in our impression, we know what friends are, but when these words enter Gazette's mind, they will automatically be understood as its food. Friends. In the command room, Captain Iruma Raichu said something that made people's backs cold. Daijing, maybe in the ionosphere, Gazette has already started to eat friends. Looking at the clothes on the ground, Daijing felt that these were the clothes the doctor wore when he left friends. Don't come over. The negotiations broke down before they even started, and the dead pilot Xincheng requested to go to battle. The Victory Swallow fired lasers, and Lina on the ground also started shooting, but for the Victory team, which had stopped developing weapons for a long time, and had just recently started to increase the schedule of weapons research and development, the current weapons could only give Gazette photo rejuvenation. At most. Stop. The battle started. The ace pilot shot on the ground, and the sharpshooter attacked with a plane. And Digging Well was running away. The Dagu in the cloud cocoon seemed to have received telepathy and suddenly opened his eyes. The wings of the divine light stick in his hand spread out, and light emerged. Digger. With a flying kick, Gazet was kicked to the ground by Digger. A fat Digger and Gazet wrestled together. Hand knife, knee strike, elbow strike. Gazet was beaten and cried. Purple energy gathered on Digger's palm. Digger rushed forward with his right arm, turned his palm into a fist, and accurately hit Gazet's face. Gazet fell to the ground with black eyes. Seeing this, Digger thought the battle was over, and was about to take off from Woohoo, but he didn't expect Gazet to deceive and attack. Is it really okay to attack Digger, a 30-million-year-old man? Exclamation mark. This is not good. Gazet bit Digger's arm. Its seemingly blunt teeth pierced through Tigger's skin, and light particles flowed like blood. It wants to eat Tigger. I will never let it go. Xinqiang shot a laser to hit Gazet, causing it to open its mouth. Tigger covered the wound on his shoulder with one hand to heal it, while looking at Gazet. Friend. Gazet made such a sound again. It regards Ultraman Tigger as a friend. That's its food. Blue electricity burst out from Gazet's body, and a blue plasma ball flew. Tigger's forehead lit up with a blue light, and he dodged the plasma ball sideways. Ultraman Tigger, air type. Tigger covered his shoulder, and flew high in the sky. Tigger needed time to heal his wounds, and at the same time he had to take Gazet away from the city. Gazet really caught up. Tigger's aerial form has a very high nerve reaction speed and induction ability. Although it will cause the pain to his body to become more intense while speeding up, it also gains a super strong self-healing ability. In just 30 seconds, the place where he was bitten by Gazet was healed. Game over. I'm waiting for the CD. Lise Gan Shenmue? Exclamation mark. Chapter 443 New City. Everything is normal here. After recovering from his injuries, Tigger turned around and raised his hand to shoot out a dazzling light in the face of Gazet's relentless plasma ball attack. Not only did he destroy Gazet's plasma ball, but he also used the strong light to dazzle Gazet's eyes, causing Gazet to subconsciously turn his head to avoid the light. Tigger Sun Fist. Bruce Wayne said he was familiar with this, and he could do a similar move. Just as Gazet closed his eyes, Tigger suddenly appeared above Gazet, with a dazzling light all over his body. Flash teleport. Flying in the air with the speed advantage of the aerial type, using the speed and body weight to generate kinetic energy, and finally carrying the powerful kinetic energy to hit the enemy. Boom. Gazet was knocked unconscious by Tigger's impact. Seeing this, Tigger's body energy gathered and condensed in his hand. Lampart light bullet. Boom. Gazet really exploded. Tigger flew away, and under the setting sun, the lightning man flew towards the ionosphere like a tadpole. Like an angel. Lina sighed. I really hope that Dr. Mizuno can see all this. Ultraman Tigger Second Contact End. Next play Dream Run. In the TPC space station, a solar energy technology is being studied to generate electricity by converting electromagnetic waves into microwaves. If the plan succeeds, humans will have endless pollution-free energy. But all this is convenient only for humans. In the ionosphere, a cloud gathered. The lightning man inside began to twist his body under the influence of the experiment and went completely crazy. It's them again, the lightning man. Bruce Wayne frowned, thinking about how to deal with this kind of enemy. The other party lives in the ionosphere, and the words just now, and the lightning man in the video, who was like twitching after the experiment began, also revealed that the other party's life must have an important relationship with electromagnetic waves. If a weapon that completely eliminates electromagnetic waves is invented, Xinqiang and Dagu drove the Fian No. 1 over Jialiang Island. I'm Xinqiang. I'm over Jialiang Island. Everything is normal here. Biu biu biu. The alarm sounded instantly after Xinqiang finished speaking. What's going on? The device is abnormal and encounters strong electromagnetic waves. Switch to manual operation. Let me do it all. In response, Dagu said that he had let go and raised his hand to show his innocence. Dagu. Xinqiang shouted suddenly. Here. It's still useless. Ah. Pa. The sound of the Fian entering the water. Advanced version. Fian No. 1. RNM. Turn on the microphone to communicate. The rescue team immediately set out, and halfway through, they complained that they felt that the number of times they rescued these two brothers was almost catching up with the total number of others. In the base of the victory team, a girl in a red dress ran in the corridor, apologizing all the way. Behind a sensor door, the girl saw Xincheng on crutches and Agu with a broken hand. Attending doctor, did the two brothers fall out of resistance? Or has the TPC's plane crash emergency system been upgraded? One of them only had a broken hand and the other just had a sprained foot. The girl looked at the rivals in front of her, and her original worries disappeared in an instant. The next second, she shouted great, and ran to Xincheng's feet and patted the injured part of Xincheng's foot. Great, brother, you're still alive. In response, Dagu was timid, and didn't dare to step forward, for fear that the other party would slap him twice more. Mainly because he was afraid that Lina would be angry. Let go. It hurts so much. This isn't the first time I've crashed. Okay. I'm happy. You're crazy. The brother and sister sat on the bench in the corridor. After venting, Mayumi told Shinjo that she was actually too worried about him. When I heard that the Fian had an accident, you don't know how worried I was. I thought I would never see you again. Looking at Mayumi crying with her face covered, Shinjo seemed a little reluctant to see his sister cry. He turned his head and said, "Don't worry, big brother won't die until you wear a wedding dress and get married." At this moment, Mayumi, who was pretending to cry, suddenly put down her hand and said expressionlessly, "This day may be coming soon." Shinjo stopped thinking. Look. This is a letter Takuma gave me. He is returning to his country to participate in the motorcycle competition this time. He also said that he wants to meet you. Shinjo stopped thinking. Shinjo, so, Mayumi really hopes that I will fall to my death. He has something important to tell you. Shinjo took a deep breath and asked, when? Tonight. I'm going to the airport to pick him up now. Mayumi looked at Shinjo's face and asked, you don't want to see him, do you? Shinjo, no, I just don't want to fall to death. The eldest brother is like a father. Shinjo knew that his sister had grown up and would definitely get married, but he didn't expect that this day would come a little too soon. Shinjo took a deep breath and said, Takuma is a good person. He is someone you can trust for life. Ah. Mayumi hugged Shinjo's arm and shouted excitedly, so you are willing to see him? Thank you, brother. Take some time tonight. His schedule is very tight. He is only free tonight. Let's go. At this moment, a member of the Deco team who didn't understand anything passed by with a tray containing 3 drinks. Mayumi, your drink. Thank you. This is what I want. Dagu. Shinjo, what's going on with Mayumi? Shinjo at this moment, despair, no desire to live. JPG. Shinjo picked up a drink, took a sip, and began to tell the story of himself and Mayumi. Dagu, this is the drink I want. When Mayumi was very young, she would run home and cry in my arms when she was bullied outside, but now she is running to the arms of another man. Shinjo, who was in the state of a quasi-father-in-law, drank the drink in the quilt in one gulp, and then picked up another cup and drank it. Dagu, this cup made me take a sip. Looking at Shinjo, who was in a trance. Although Dagu didn't understand it very well, he expressed his understanding of his current mood. He also knew Shinjo's family very well. Shinjo was both a father and a mother to Mayumi, which was actually similar to a daughter getting married. The most terrible thing is, my younger sister is getting married, and I'm still single. No surprise, this is also my future. Just then, Lina called. Airline Flight 206. Due to strong electromagnetic interference, communication is now interrupted. Airline Flight 206. Shinjo suddenly thought, isn't this the flight number Mayumi showed me just now? I was very happy to see it, and I was laughing there, but when I thought about my sister getting married in the future, I suddenly had an urge to sharpen my knife. Well, there are still many years, enough for me to sharpen a good knife. Chapter 444, Dream Run. On Flight 206, a man called the stewardess and asked politely, excuse me, will the flight arrive on time? No problem, sir. Our flights are always on time and have never been delayed. The man nodded and took out a pendant from his arms. The photo inside was Mayumi. He is Takuma, Mayumi's boyfriend and Shinjo's future brother-in-law. If nothing unexpected happens, just after looking at the pendant, the plane began to shake. Command room of the Victory team base. Shinjo and Eiko rushed in one after the other. Perhaps because he was worried about his brother-in-law, Shinjo, who sprained his ankle, ran faster than Eiko. Captain, something happened again. According to the analysis of electromagnetic waves, the detection satellite has captured the target. It's Gazet. Why did Gazet appear again? Lina, Daijing, set off immediately. Understood. Wait a minute. Let me go with you. Don't talk nonsense. Zhang Fang rejected Shinjo's request outright. The kid was still injured from the plane crash. Shinjo handed the crutch to Daijing next to him and limped out of the command room before everyone could react. Seeing this, Daegu hurriedly said, I'll go with him. Hey, Daegu. Shinjo. Daegu caught up with Shinjo with his helmet. If you keep showing off, Mayumi will be worried again. Faced with Daegu putting pressure on Mayumi, Shinjo told him directly, Mayumi's boyfriend is now on flight 206. I can't see Mayumi cry anymore. Shinjo. Daegu was shocked by Shinjo's words and had no choice but to follow. Screening room. Wanda, think about it carefully. When I was a child, when I was bullied by the kids in the neighborhood, it was Pirate who helped me out. Although he went there and got beaten with me, it was really good to have someone protecting me. Tony saw this and wisely shut his mouth. Ultron was created by himself, and Wanda and Pirate becoming orphans was also related to him. Although he didn't do these things, his overly strong sense of responsibility still made him feel guilty deep in his heart. I don't know what their world is. What is their world? Fion number 1 took off quickly. At the same time, Mayumi, who drove to the airport to pick up her lover, didn't know what happened there. In the clouds over the Pacific Ocean, Gazet appeared on the surface again. Xincheng wanted to check the situation, but the radar had been completely affected by the strong electromagnetic waves and could not detect anything. Daegu also told Xincheng that the plasma energy of Gazet was much stronger than before and became very amazing. Understood. Start attacking. Fion number 1, how about we consider it? Swak cannon fired crazily and then retreated shamefully after giving Gazet a wave of photon rejuvenation. But at least the two achieved their goal, attracting Gazet's hatred and preventing it from approaching the mainland. In the Victory team base, everyone was also discussing Gazet. Gazet was originally a creature living in the ionosphere. It became a monster because it was affected by the electromagnetic waves emitted by humans. But hasn't Gazet turned back into Lightning Man and returned to the ionosphere? Because at that time, humans' use of electromagnetic waves remained unchanged. Daijing said, maybe humans have affected Lightning Man's sleep again. Wait a minute, Gazet's trajectory suddenly changed. According to calculations, its final destination is the Solar Power Research and Experimental Center. It's the microwaves from the space power station. Daijing understood, and he said, it was the microwaves that impacted Lightning Man's nest, causing it to not only transform into Gazet again, but also become more ferocious and brutal. Under the ground of that facility, there is a superconducting coil that can store a large amount of electronic energy. They should have complete safety protection. But when designing it, the monster disaster had not yet appeared, let alone creatures like Lightning Man. These creatures were not taken into consideration. What if something is destroyed? At least 3 nearby cities will be destroyed. So strong? The power of many technological devices nowadays actually exceeds our imagination. For example, the heat generated by the Large Particle Collider during the experiment is enough to destroy the entire solar system if it is not imprisoned. Gazet itself is an electrically charged body. Because of its special nature, Gazet's energy is increasing rapidly. In other words, Gazet has not only become stronger, but it is also getting stronger all the time. Now it can affect all electronic devices within a radius of 10 kilometers. All electronic devices within this distance cannot be used. Use microwaves. Use microwaves to lure Gazet to a suitable place, and then destroy it in one fell swoop. On the sea, the Crash duo is still arguing with Gazet. After continuous debugging, Daegu finally contacted the headquarters through the laser channel. Stop the attack immediately and go to the radio wave receiving station. We will meet there. The ground battle began, and on the other side, Mayumi, who had passed all the way and came to this place, also saw Gazet. Everyone held the special guns invented by Digimon and fired the microwaves to lead Gazet away little by little. If this guy blew up this place, it would be a big deal. The good brothers Xincheng and Daegu teamed up again, but this time it was no longer the Fian that suffered, but the Sherlock patrol car. Daegu found a person lying on a piece of grass, and Xincheng recognized it at a glance. It was his sister Mayumi. Misfortunes never come alone. After the Sherlock patrol car resisted Gazet's plasma ball once, the entire car body was paralyzed in an instant and turned into a pile of scrap metal that was slightly more resistant to beating. Daegu was anxious when he saw this, and he wanted to transform into Tiger right now, but when he reached out and touched it, his face changed drastically. Oh, it seems that I forgot to bring the transformation device. Everyone was shocked. How could this happen? Peter was puzzled. He always had the habit of carrying important items with him, including the transformer. Even when he was taking a shower, it would not be too far away from him. Moreover, Peter could feel that the transformer seemed to have a function similar to summoning. As long as he wanted, it would turn into light and appear in his hand, even if it was at the end of the world. Generally speaking, the Ultra Warriors of our Kingdom of Light are not unable to transform without the transformer, but it is more difficult. However, Daegu is different. He is not an Ultra Warrior, he is a human, an ordinary person who has obtained the power of a giant. In this case, there should be a certain difference. Regarding this question, I think Peter should have a more experienced answer. Peter Parker, for me, there is a big difference between transforming with the transformer and without the transformer. With the transformer, I can transform very easily, but if I don't use the transformer, I basically can't transform. Peter Parker, maybe the time I merged with the light was too short. If the time was longer, there might be no problem. The video continues at this moment. A man wearing a black leather jacket and riding a black motorcycle suddenly appeared. Use my motorcycle. Who are you? No time to explain. Hurry up. I'll be the bait. The helmet opened, and inside was Takuma's face. Suddenly I thought of that sentence. We need a hero. Jincheng. Heroes are necessary. Is that Takuma? The motorcyclist, Mayumi's boyfriend? But, he shouldn't be here. It's the soul. Strange said, this is the most reasonable reason I can think of. Although I don't know why Takuma's soul can be materialized and appear here. I can't think of a second possibility except the soul. Thanos. It should also be because of Gazeth. Thanos. Although I don't understand magic very well, from a scientific point of view, the soul will be affected by electromagnetic waves and other factors. After Takuma's death, his soul should have been affected by the lightning man gathering Gazeth, so it materialized and appeared here. Strange, indeed. Among all kinds of energy, lightning has the greatest impact on the soul, and can even affect the soul through the body. Image continues soon. The microwave transmitter started again, and Gazet, who was attacking aimlessly, was suddenly attracted by the microwaves, and rushed over even though he was thousands of meters away. Takuma started the motorcycle, stepped on the accelerator to the maximum, and left quickly, leaving only one sentence: go and save Mayumi. To help Mayumi to another patrol car that could still be started. Mayumi opened her eyes and saw Shinjo, and said weakly, I'm sorry, brother, I broke the car. You silly child. Shinjo held Mayumi tightly in his arms and said, brother has broken several of the Fian, which costs tens of millions of yuan. As long as you are safe, that's all. Mayumi was amused by Shinjo's words, but when she saw the figure riding the motorcycle, even if she didn't see his face, even if the motorcycle was riding so fast that ordinary people couldn't see the figure like a dark lightning with their naked eyes, Mayumi recognized him at a glance. Takuma. Is Takuma here? Yes, Takuma is here to save you. He came specially to save you. On the battlefield on the other side. Hurry up. Here. Behind a small motorcycle, a giant beast roared, venting its anger at humans. Chapter 445, Dream Run. Takuma attracts Gazet's attention, while on the other side, Daegu runs to an empty corner and takes out the aura stick. He brought the aura stick. Peter scratched his head and said, "So I guessed wrong. Ace, that should be, because there are people around him, and it is inconvenient for him to transform." Guang, I think Daegu hesitated at that time. If Takuma doesn't appear, then Daegu will probably have to transform at the cost of exposing his identity. Ace, in this case, Daegu will be in trouble. Peter Parker, the identity of Ultraman is really a big trouble. Bruce Wayne, the reason why Mebius was able to expose his identity is that the first group of people who knew Mebius' identity were his close comrades in arms, and there is a bigger reason that the Earth has welcomed many Ultraman. The humans in that world have already regarded Mebius as their partners, but Tigger is not. The attitude of the people in that world towards Ultraman is still unclear. If he is exposed, Daegu will most likely be captured for research, just like Kofu. The video continues. Tigger appears. Gazette, how old are you? The battle started, and the occupation was very disadvantageous to Tigger. The injury of the human body was also brought to Tigger. Dagu's left hand was broken. Tigger couldn't use any strength in his left hand at this moment, and Gazette on the opposite side was getting stronger all the time. Tigger saw that the situation was not right, and immediately changed his tactics, using kicking and right hand as the main means of attack. Although Gazette is strong, he has no brain, which is also Tigger's biggest advantage. Gazette couldn't see that Tigger's left hand was lame, and he attacked like a beast. Tigger blocked Gazette's wings with the inside of his arms, and hit Gazette's stomach with a knee, knocking Gazette away. Tigger pounced on Gazette's old face and gave him a big fight, but Gazette bit his palm. I don't remember the fight. But the next moment, a ball of energy suddenly exploded from Tigger's palm, blasting Gazette's mouth open, while pulling his hand out. When Gazette was confused, he kicked Gazette again, and kicked him far away. But then Tigger covered his hand to heal his wound. It seemed that he did not do it intentionally but was quick-witted. Gazette's face recovered quickly. The energy fight just now not only did not cause too much damage to Gazette, but Gazette seemed to have evolved the skill of swallowing energy. Seeing this, Tigger jumped high and kicked Gazette. Unexpectedly, Gazette took off directly from Woohoo, leaving Tigger kicking in vain. Fortunately, the magical biological standpoint made a great contribution. The second before Tigger landed on the ground, the standpoint condensed, and Tigger almost floated in the air. And at this moment, the unrighteous Gazette shot a plasma ball at Tigger, knocking Tigger to the ground, and the biological standpoint was also shattered. The plasma ball splashed up dust and smoke. Lina wanted to rush to support Tigger, but was stopped by Munakata. Look. In the smoke, a red giant appeared. Ultraman Tigger, powerful type. Once, Nori and Eiko had discussed Tigger's form in a casual chat. Daegu, according to my analysis, the giant that appeared at the beginning was a mixture of multiple colors, so his ability in this state is also the most balanced. Is that so? By the way, his name is Tigger. I see. When Tigger fought against Golzon and Melba, he first turned red to deal with Golzon. So in the red state, Tigger's power will be greatly enhanced. In that case, wouldn't it be better to fight in red form from the beginning? It's different. Although the blue form is weaker, it is faster and more responsive. Even Melba is not the opponent of the blue form. You know, Melba is a terrifying monster that can cross most of the Pacific Ocean in 3 minutes. Daegu remembered Nori's words and used the blue form in the battle with Gazette. Facts have proved that the blue form is indeed very fast, but it is not resistant to beating. Although the speed and nerve reaction of the blue form have increased, the pain when being beaten has also increased exponentially. Daegu felt that he was good with red because it hurt when he hit others, but he didn't feel any pain when he got hit. The reckless man is invincible. Gazette opened his mouth, saying that he didn't understand why this guy turned red again from blow last time, and he was even fatter. Tigger stood up slowly, and his previous injuries seemed to be gone at this moment. Gazette released a plasma ball again, but it was caught by Tigger with his bare hands. Then the light energy in Tigger's body was injected, and the plasma ball changed its appearance. Gazette's plasma ball was very good, but the next second it was my Deshram light stream. Then it was transformed, and a fatal blow was made. Gazette died, and he was only a god knows how old he was. Tika nodded with satisfaction and flew away. On the ground, thick smoke rose up. Mayumi suddenly stood up and stared blankly at the figure in the smoke. At this moment, a sad music sounded, BGM the call from afar. "Yeah, I know Tatsumi, you are Takuma, right?" The man slowly took off his helmet. Even though the smoke was so thick that he couldn't see his hand in front of him, Mayumi recognized Takuma, her lover. "I knew it. I missed you so much." "I miss you too, Mayumi." Takuma looked at his lover in front of him and said, "But I'm sorry, I can't stay here." "Why? We finally met. I really have to go." "Where are you going?" "I've been waiting for you for a long time. I've been waiting for you to come back. I will love you forever, forever, and ever. Don't go. Don't go. Mayumi, I'm glad to meet you." When Takuma was riding on the motorcycle, his body and the motorcycle turned into light particles and disappeared in front of Mayumi. Shinjo slowly walked behind Mayumi. Mayumi turned around and pointed to the place where Takuma disappeared, wanting to say something to Shinjo, but in the end she couldn't help but threw herself into her brother's arms and cried. Shinjo remained silent. He had spoken out of turn. Originally, Mayumi should have been waiting for another person's arms, but now, Mayumi could only return to her brother's arms and cry. It is said that the human soul is made up of plasma energy. Horii said. Takuma was also on the flight attacked by Gazette. Maybe. Alas. Horii did not continue to explain, but sighed lightly. "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." In the dusk, Shinjo hugged Mayumi and stared blankly into the distance. There seemed to be the sound of a motorcycle starting there. "I have a headache." I suddenly realized that Nexus is not easy to write, but I have to finish the promised plot even if I cry. If I choose to write about famous scenes, the sense of separation will be too strong. Nexus is a series. If I don't choose, it will be too long. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, Lightning Man Annihilation War. Ultraman Tika. Calling begins as soon as the show starts. We see the victory team flying a plane to fight the monster again. The monster is called Jubilee AI, and it has 4 horns that can release lightning from its horns. And Jubilee AI's defense is also very strong, and Fian number 1 can't do much damage with armor-piercing bullets. But after fighting for a while, Jubilee AI directly burrowed into the soil, leaving only its head outside, looking like it was ready to fight. "Commander, let's launch a concentrated attack from the air," Shinjo requested. "Wait a minute. Fian no one's attack power is not enough." Munakata originally wanted to wait for Fian number 2 to arrive before launching an attack together, but at this moment, Captain Iruma suddenly asked everyone to return to the base. Now, although the monsters are calm now, it's better to leave a few people behind. The Flashman War is about to begin. So soon. What's going on? The support troops are coming soon. Please come back first. Got it. The Flashman War, the full name of which is the Flashman Annihilation War, is because a plane crash caused by the Flashman and Gazette and the subsequent plane crashes made DPC decide to use the Victory Swallow and the Atlas, the most powerful flying aircraft carrier currently equipped with the most powerful system of mankind, to launch a major battle with powerful firepower to annihilate the Flashman's nest. Finally, the war is about to begin. Bruce Wayne's eyes condensed. He knew that the 2 races, humans and Flashman, would eventually have a war. There was no way. The differences between the 2 sides were unavoidable. The survival of the Flashman is closely related to electromagnetic waves, and humans must use electromagnetic waves for their own development. This is equivalent to a race starting to take action on the oxygen that humans rely on for their own development, first poisoning the oxygen, and then trying to drain the oxygen. This is a battle for the survival of the race. Time goes back to a week ago. The headquarters has approved the battle plan for the Flashman Annihilation War. Great. Xincheng said fiercely, "We can finally get rid of these bastards." Because of the previous Flashman incident, Xincheng's hatred for the Flashman has reached a peak. Lina put forward a different opinion. The lightning people were originally creatures on Earth. The reason they became monsters was because of the electromagnetic waves created by humans. What exactly do you want to say? In other words, if the problem of electromagnetic waves is not fundamentally solved, and we only try to solve the lightning people, this is not a fundamental solution. I have thought about this problem. Daijing said, because we did not take a fundamental approach to it, incidents will happen again and again. As Daijing also has a blood feud with the lightning people, he said very seriously, the result of my consideration of this is that I will no longer consider it. Why? It's a pity to say that. Daijing told everyone why he chose to stop thinking. There is no way to stop using electromagnetic waves in modern society. Of course, stopping and reducing the use of electromagnetic waves is easy to say, but the question is, if we stop using electromagnetic waves, can humans survive? Once humans get used to using convenient things, it's hard to go back. Okay, what Deiko and Lina said makes sense. Zhang Fang said, but we should face up to the environment we are in now. Now is an extraordinary period. Since our role is to protect humanity from foreign enemies, we should fight to the end. That's right. Only by eliminating all enemies that threaten humanity can humanity survive better. What are you talking about? In the entire command room, different opinions and thoughts collided and clashed with each other. The doves who advocated peace and the hawks who advocated war were not wrong. They all had their own reasons, and these reasons were extremely sufficient. This is the case in the command room and in the screening room. Logan, that Nori probably hasn't been to the battlefield himself, so he said such things. Captain America, yes, there are too many children who are full of enthusiasm before the war, thinking that they will definitely be able to bravely kill the enemy and become a hero who saves the country on the battlefield, and they also think it is easy to take hundreds of heads in a battle, but when they hear the sound of gunfire ringing in their ears on the battlefield, they tremble with fear. Logan, Nori's idea is right, but for someone like Lina who has seen too much blood and sacrifice, it is actually not very acceptable. Wonder why? I think it is normal to expel foreign enemies. Logan, girl, there will be deaths in war. I remember that, when you were on the battlefield in Wakanda, you didn't kill a few people with real swords and guns, and the enemy was an alien. Wanda, at that time, I was mainly responsible for dealing with Thanos. I didn't have much contact with the frontal battlefield. Logan, that Nori's mentality should be similar to yours. I'm not very good at speaking, but the meaning is probably this. The battlefield is not a game. It is a victory that is exchanged for living lives. Logan, I don't know how to speak. If you don't experience this kind of thing yourself, you can't understand it. The video continues. Lina ran out, and Dagu caught up with her and discussed this matter with her. Dagu, I think whether it is aliens or monsters, we still have to figure out why they're here. Isn't this the real strategy of the other monsters? You are right. Dagu said, besides, if we strengthen the equipment, there is no end. Why does Tigger help us humans? Help us who are so naive. Lina's words made Dagu silent. Does Lina know Dagu's identity? Bruce Wayne said, the timeline gap between the three stories is actually very large. They are obviously not linked. I think there must be other stories before the Flashman Annihilation War. At least, the firepower of the Victory team has been greatly improved, and there is also the Atreides that we have never heard of before. The timeline returns to the present. The Flashman Annihilation War has begun. Xincheng still feels that the firepower is not strong enough, and even hopes that there is another Atreides. Then we can't drive to the residential area to bombard it, right? I think the safest way is to use the Texas gun of the Victory Swallow II. But it can't be used now. Okay. Captain Iruma Hui said, now let's start to arrange the battle plan. Daijing, Xincheng, and Lina are responsible for participating in the Lightning Man Annihilation War. The deputy captain is responsible for commanding the TPC ground forces to fight the monster that entered the land. Team member Dagu is responsible for support. In addition, Captain Iruma Hui turned his head and said to Nori, Team member Nori, you will also participate in this battle. Yes. Nori, who was a little nervous in excitement, or a little excited in nervousness, quickly agreed. Logan, just wait and see. Iruma HUI is going to let that young boy experience the cruelty of the battlefield in person. I hope he won't pee his pants directly. Captain America, War. Only those who have experienced it personally know its cruelty. No matter what Nori will think in the end, he will grow up. In the corridor, the brother and sister Shinjo and Mayumi met again. How have you been recently? Very good, but a little busy. Mayumi raised the medical bag in her hand and said, look, I'm going to see a doctor. Brother is going to exorcise demons too. Flying swallow number 1, what do you mean? Atlantis, don't panic, brother, it should be talking about me. I really hope that monsters can disappear from this world as soon as possible, so that it is precisely because of this that TPC and Victory Team are constantly fighting to maintain peace. Peace? Do you think it is peaceful now? If you brothers can stop fighting, the monsters will not come out. After saying that, Mayumi turned around and left, leaving Shinjo with a helpless look. Wonder, what is Mayumi's mentality? Wasn't her boyfriend killed by the Flash Man? Guang, I think Mayumi's mentality now may be closer to you in WandaVision. At that time, you didn't even take away Vision's body, let alone revenge. Ace, Mayumi's current mentality is indeed two extremes from Noriyuki. She is more inclined to the idea of surrender. I can only say that both children need to grow up and experience to become more mature. Ace, they are both too extreme. Peter Parker, just like what I said before, Noriyuki and Mayumi's starting points are right, but they went astray on the road. I think it is the right way to protect yourself with strength, find out the reasons, and then find a way to coexist with them. Bruce Wayne, this is also a dispute between Hawks and us. In fact, these two ideas are indispensable. The lack of anyone will lead to the extinction of mankind. Holy Lord, yin alone cannot be born, yang alone cannot grow. All things carry yin and embrace yang, and the rush of ki is for harmony. Yin and yang are the two sides of things. Once one side is lost, the other side will inevitably not survive. The world is like this, but you humans have eliminated all the yin sides for your own selfishness, making the world unbalanced, constantly declining, and even extinct. Everyone in the screening room was speechless. They had all seen some of the stories of the Holy Lord's world, and had also heard the Holy Lord's complaints in their spare time. They all knew that the Holy Lord had great malice towards humans. But everyone often went to scold Loki, but few people scolded the Holy Lord. Scolding Loki was Loki's own fault, so he scolded him. Anyway, this was already a daily entertainment activity in the screening room. But what the Holy Lord said, in addition to complaining, was sometimes heartbreaking, and the words were too real and explicit for everyone to refute. Imprisoning the guardian god who protected him, and depriving him of his power for the power of eternal life. It sounded like something that humans could do. There is also a 3000. Understand it as a child who had diarrhea and squatted in the toilet for 2 hours and then became autistic. Today I saw a post explaining feelings and suddenly realized that I should wake up. In my interactions with her, I can say that I made 10 mistakes mentioned in that post, just like an ordinary person who knows nothing can make more than 200 laboratory regulations in 3 minutes when entering a high-level laboratory. I said to myself, wake up. But my heart is like being stuck in a damn quagmire. I would rather drown in it than climb out. I know what my problem is. I just don't want to change. Or I just don't want to face reality. Or, to be more precise, I know the reality is right in front of me, but I just don't want to accept it. That's all. TSK. Do you think I'm sober or confused? I understand the truth. I can even accept it, but I just can't climb out of that damn pit. Damn it, brothers. There are still 2 months left, and I have to endure 2 more damn months. Chapter 447 Veterans Evaluation. Before boarding the plane, Lina and Agu discussed the previous matter again. When I first heard what Daijing said, I thought there was nothing wrong, but when I thought about it carefully, I felt that something was wrong, but I couldn't tell what was wrong. But I couldn't think of what was wrong. Lina. Dagu heard what Lina said and asked with a smile, are you trying to say that humans are powerless to solve the electromagnetic wave problem? Yes. Actually, after listening to what Daijing said, I also thought about it seriously. Lina, are you trying to say that we can't coexist with each other? Coexist? Dagu's words awakened Lina from her dream, and she finally thought of what she wanted to say. In fact, many people often have a lot of words in their hearts, but they just don't know how to say them. Yes, that's what I mean. Coexist? Bruce Wayne touched his chin, expressing his disapproval of this idea. Coexistence is too difficult. Let's not talk about other things. Let's not talk about the problems between humans, but the fact that humans need to use electromagnetic waves to develop themselves means that humans cannot coexist with lightning people unless one day a technology that does not require the use of electromagnetic waves is discovered, and this technology can completely replace modern technology. But even so, won't there be solar people who come out for revenge because the sun is extracted by humans for energy? Although it is just a metaphor, the reality is much more cruel. Facing Lina's idea, Dagu said, we TPC should really not protect humans, but the Earth. But this is difficult. We can neither communicate with monsters, nor predict when aliens will appear. Maybe Tiga wants to do this. Lina suddenly said. Lina's words confused Dagu. Suddenly, she looked relieved and said, Zero must be right. I suddenly felt relieved. Dagu, we have to leave quickly. Oh, okay. Dagu looked confused, but just after he walked out, he was stopped by Lina and given a nice guy card. Dagu, thank you. Dagu, stop thinking. A lot of stories must have happened in the middle. Seeing this, Bruce Wayne directly asserted, of course. Lina's expression is almost hinting that she must know that Dagu is Tigger. At least she has great doubts about this situation. TPC attacked on all fronts. Ground forces began to encircle and suppress the monster, and the Atlas also began to attack. Nori, who was on the front line for the first time, was deeply shocked. A large number of tanks were deployed in front of the monster, obviously intending to take advantage of the monster's long sleep to give it a shot. The impact of the steel torrent on the civilian Nori was much stronger than what was described in various materials. Seeing the several meter high steel behemoths passing by him, the blood of this young man who had just reached adulthood was boiling. P.S. The actor who played Nori was only 17 at the time. The victory team did not use child labor, so he was an adult. Logan, look at this brat's excitement. Just like the young boy who was eager to try and show his skills when he first arrived at the front line. Logan, just watch. This brat will know how to be afraid in a while. Captain America, many soldiers are like this when they go to the battlefield for the first time. This is indeed a normal reaction. Logan, okay, it will be a great success if this kid doesn't get so scared that his legs are weak and he can't get up or doesn't wet his pants. Nori looked at this torrent of steel and said to Zanfang, with so many equipments, I feel much more at ease. Zanfang looked at the smile on Nori's face and replied solemnly, yes. But what if these equipments don't work? That would be a big problem. Can you be more specific about what the problem is? Zanfang looked at Nori and decided to let this ignorant young man experience the war in person. He would never understand it by just talking. Dagu. Zanfang pressed the communication device and said, according to the original plan, the battle will start in 20 minutes. Understood. Dagu replied while sitting on Fian number 1, I'll be there in 10 minutes. On the other side, Xincheng and Yujing each drove a Fian number 2, and behind Fian number 2 was a huge ship, Atlantis. Total length 150 meters. The strongest warship equipped with super weapons, Mags guns and Texas guns, and powered by the new Mags power system. Ground battlefield. Mongfang is still arranging the battlefield. Monsters, like Gazet, have the ability to interfere with signals. When monsters are active, electromagnetic interference will become extremely strong. At that time, use flares to communicate. Now, the battle begins. Dagu drove Fian number 1 to release light energy above the monster, but under the monster's instinctive counterattack, Fian number 1 retreated step by step. Nori saw this and immediately reported, it's not good. The monster's energy value is still rising. This generation means that the opponent is not using its full strength at all. Dagu, run. The signal channel was interfered, and Zanfang couldn't communicate with Dagu at all. Seeing this, Zanfang immediately asked Nori to use flares. Fire. The steel torrent began to attack, and countless shells fell to the place where the monster was, firing wildly at the monster's head. At this moment, the power of human weapons is once again demonstrated. Perhaps, fighting supernatural creatures like monsters will make human weapons look very poor, but if you change the target to someone clearer, then I won't be sleepy. One by one, flame flowers bloomed on the ground, which represented the sparks of death and destruction. Maybe they couldn't deal with monsters, but they could still deal with most things on the earth. For example, the hill where the monsters slept. The monsters didn't wake up, but the hill was gone. Under the bombardment of artillery fire, the hill where Kyle Bailey AI slept was cut off. The hill that could cover half of Kyle Bailey AI's head can't even cover Kyle Bailey AI's shoulders now. Under this bombardment, Kyle Bailey AI was not injured for the time being. Anyway, it had enough energy to attack. A flash of lightning flashed across, and the tank exploded. Explosions and screams resounded on the battlefield. Stop the attack. Everyone retreat. Nori was stunned, and his original passion disappeared after he was scared by the gunfire and screams. The tank group retreated quickly. Zhang Fang turned his head and saw Nori hiding behind the car, trembling with an energy pistol in his hand. The tank tracks rolled over the flowers, just like the war ruthlessly wiped out the fresh lives one by one, quickly, ruthlessly, and conveniently. Nori, stand up. Zhang Fang pulled Nori up. Behind them, there were countless noisy sounds, explosions, burning flames, screams of the wounded, the running of the first aid team, and the shouts of those who summoned the first aid team, which mixed into a sad song of iron and fire. Nori stood up tremblingly and turned his head to look in the direction of the original battlefield. Thick smoke rose up, the wreckage of the tank was scattered, the molten iron mixed with the charred corpses due to the high temperature, flowed on the ground. Under the setting sun, it was like blood, flowing on the grass that was originally full of flowers. You don't care about the flowers you trampled, just like war doesn't care about being trampled on you. Logan, 3 points. Captain America. After all, he is a child who has just joined the battlefield, and he is still a civilian. He has not experienced much training. It is already a great courage to look at the battlefield. I will give him 6 points. Logan. Alas, people who have not experienced war are prone to arrogance, thinking that it is nothing. I can go. In fact, one explosion is enough to scare most people's legs. Captain America. This kid is determined to prove himself, but in fact, after going to the battlefield, he was still scared by the cruel war. Logan. To be honest, who the hell wants to fight? It's either you or I bleed. I can bleed if I can't die. What about ordinary people? Even among mutants, there aren't many like me. The two veterans always have endless common language to talk about. When they start talking, no one can interrupt. Unless it's the third veteran. In the medical tent, two representatives of two radical ideas among the young people met. Mayumi was exploding Nori's wound. A radical dove and a radical hawk, both young people. They naturally talked about today's war. When Nori told Mayumi that he thought that the weapon should be strengthened, and Luna was angry, Mayumi also got angry. I thought you were a smart person, but it seems that you are not that smart. Hey, what do you mean by that? Nori is also a young man. Young people will be suppressed by their elders. How can they hold back their anger when facing people of the same age as themselves? Friend, aren't you afraid of death? I'm not calling you friend. I'm Nori. It doesn't matter what you call me. Aren't you afraid of death? As long as I can maintain peace, because this job is inherently dangerous. Logan. This kid is scared, and he's embarrassed to say it in front of a girl who's about his age, so he can only stammer. Captain America. This is indeed too normal. We are all mortals who wouldn't be afraid of death, especially since he's just a child. Logan. After this night, whether he grows up to be a warrior or becomes an ordinary person who doesn't dare to go to the battlefield or even develops war syndrome, depends on his own will. Do you have someone you like? Mayumi's sudden question caught Nori off guard. What are you talking about? When I was a child and was scolded by my father kept asking me to speak, but as soon as I said 2 words, my father would interrupt me at a faster speed and then scold me in different ways. I remember the 2 most classic sentences seem to be, I want to cry, but I want to say, but I don't want to say it. I don't remember it clearly. He asked me to speak, but interrupted me whenever I spoke. He scolded me for not speaking if I didn't speak, and he didn't let me speak when I spoke. Anyway, I was speechless. I ended writing this sentence. Sometimes I always feel that too many things in this world are too coincidental, so coincidental that I feel like everything is a script. Chapter 448, People's Thoughts, Clash of Ideas. Faced with Nori's confusion, Mayumi suddenly said, "If you die, you will never see the person you like again." Mayumi's words silenced Nori. Nori was silent for a moment before saying, Now is an extraordinary period. So this kind of thing between men and women should be discussed in peacetime, right? Anyway, you only follow the instructions of others, and are no different from a child. If everyone can throw away their weapons, the monsters will not come out. What? The problem is not that simple. You are just like a child. Logan, that kid should not have been in love, otherwise he would have been silent for a longer time. Moreover, the girl is the same. Both of them are not mature enough. It can be said that they are. What is that? Bruce Wayne, idealistic radical. Logan, yes. Bruce Wayne, the everyone that Mayumi mentioned, does not refer to just one side, but to both sides of the war. If both sides of the war put down their weapons, then peace will naturally come. However, this is indeed too idealistic. Captain America, well, if I were Nori, I could answer Mayumi's question. If I die, I will never see the person I like again. But if we don't fight, thousands of people will not see the person they like. They are still children. Adults know how heavy this topic is. The two veterans know even more clearly that war is not something that can be avoided just by saying so. It is not a game of house. It can be said that the ideas of both of them are a bit too extreme. Bruce said, having a gun and not using it is different from not having a gun. Mayumi's idea is indeed naive, but combined with reality, it cannot be said to be completely wrong. I think I can explain why Mayumi and Lina have a relatively negative attitude towards the war, to eliminate the lightning people. Fundamentally speaking, the lightning people are not foreign enemies, nor are they invaders. They are creatures on the earth like Nomalt and Ilus, and they also have social manifestations, but they don't communicate with the people on earth. Because the disputes between the lightning people and humans belong to the internal disputes of the earth, and the lightning people have never thought of invading human land. They have their own home, the ionosphere, and the dispute between the two races lies in the consequences caused by electromagnetic waves. If it is Ultraman Maximum facing the war between the lightning people and humans, Ultraman Maximum will never take action against Gazet. Ace, yes, not only Maximum, all of us Ultra Warriors, well, except for Brother 7, we will try our best to be bystanders, or prevent the battle between the two sides from affecting innocent people. And in the Flashman incident, Flashman was actually the first victim. In the second contact before, it was obvious that some humans had an idea of the existence of Flashman, and Flashman was affected by electromagnetic waves and mutated into Gazet, but humans at this stage cannot live without electromagnetic waves, so Flashman continued to mutate into Gazet, and the angry Flashman and violent Gazet caused various aircraft crashes. Then, because the root cause of the electromagnetic waves could not be resolved, TPC was forced to choose to directly annihilate the other race in an attempt to achieve a permanent solution. That's why Mayumi and Lina opposed it and have a negative attitude towards war. Ace, yes, after all, Flashman was not an alien invader, and the cause of the war cannot be generalized by self-defense. That's why Mayumi would not support Shinjo and Nori to die in vain. After all, there is a big gap between humans and Flashman, or Gazet. Agwang, there is one more thing. Lina did not oppose the fight. She just felt that the first requirement must be to solve the root problem. Otherwise, as Dagu said, after all, the strengthening of weapons is endless. I'm afraid it will be another marathon of vomiting blood. How to solve this problem? In my opinion, for a long time, on that earth, there is no solution. Bruce Wayne, let's not talk about whether humans are willing to change for the lightning people, a race that basically has no communication. Even if humans are willing to improve the root problem of electromagnetic waves, it will take time to find alternative energy. During this period, will the lightning people bear the injustice of resisting mutations and wait until then? Bruce Wayne, so war is almost inevitable. Wanda, you said almost. Is there any way? Bruce Wayne, a way that is not a way. Wanda, what is it? Holy Lord, isn't that simple? Just kill all the lightning people. If there is no opponent to dispute with you, there will be no dispute. When you can't solve a problem, it is also a good way to get rid of the person who raised the problem. Peter Parker, although this is cruel, and although I totally disagree with the words of the Holy Lord, I have a hunch that the final outcome of the Lightning Man and the Earthling will be that only one race will be able to continue to live on Earth. Peter Parker, even if we think positively, it will be that one of the Earthlings and the Lightning Man will leave the Earth and fly to the universe. The screening room continued in a dull atmosphere. The video continues. Mang Fang is reporting on the situation of the monster. I'm not asking you that. Iruma Kenny said, I'm wondering why the monster appeared and what its purpose is. What's wrong with you? Munakata immediately noticed that something was wrong with Iruma Kenny and asked immediately. I've been thinking about it for a long time. In the dim light, Iruma Hui said alone in the command room, what exactly does the monster want to do when it appears? Mankata did not answer, but asked, are you still analyzing the pyramid in the Pacific Endurance time machine? Backdoor Daegu, Panic Point JPG. As for the pyramid, organic matter from outside the earth was found in the fragments of the stone statue, and the analysis of the time machine obtained the word bright, or light. Daegu couldn't help but come up and ask, are there any other discoveries? Iruma Hui shook his head and said, it took so long to analyze, but only got these. I don't know when we can analyze them all. And at this moment, the ground shook, and Kyle Bailey began to move. In the medical tent, Mayumi protected a wounded person with her body. After waiting for the shock to subside slightly, a TPC team member rushed in and asked Mayumi to leave here quickly. What about the transfer of the injured? There are not enough cars. Chapter 449. The meaning of fighting. Handshake between two young men. The words of the TPC team member in the blue combat uniform were filled with a strong sense of powerlessness that spread throughout the hearts of everyone in the screening room. Just as the two veterans said, if there is no need to fight, then who would be willing to fight? The battle started again, and artillery fire flew. Kyle Bailey AI's body was almost invisible in the artillery fire, but its steps did not move at all. Yuri looked at Kyle Bailey AI in the distance and recalled Mayumi's words in his mind. If you die, you will never see the person you like again. Will I die? Yuri looked at Kyle Bailey AI and said to himself, will I die? How can I not be afraid of death? A blue laser hit Kyle Bailey AI's body. This laser seemed particularly small and inconspicuous in the countless artillery fire, just like its launcher, Yuri, who was inconspicuous in front of Kyle Bailey AI's huge body. Yuri held a laser gun and kept shooting at Kyle Bailey AI. A tank fired right next to Nori. Maybe it was because of the soundproofing and protection of the defense team's helmet, or maybe Nori didn't care anymore. No, he cares about life, he's afraid of death. But he's a warrior. A warrior who rushed to the battlefield while shouting I don't want to die to protect the people around him. Daegu saw Nori. He didn't have time to think about it, looking at the magic stick and asked loudly, Ultraman Tigger, why are you fighting? What are you fighting for, Tigger? Logan, very much. Logan, this kid. No, Nori is a warrior now. Captain America, yes, true courage is not fearlessness, but standing forward to protect what you want in your heart, even if you are afraid. When Nori shouted that he was afraid of death, but attacked Kyle Bailey to protect the people behind him, he had grown from the child who clamored to wipe out the opponent to a real warrior. Ace, people without fear are the most terrifying. It is impossible for people to be completely without fear, and the brilliance of human nature lies in this. Even if they are afraid, they will move forward. Humans will never give up the pace of progress and the heart of protecting important people. This is why we Ultra Warriors have always fought side by side with humans. It is because when Ultraman fell, you humans still did not give up fighting, so we will always fight side by side with you. Ace, I think that, when Daegu called Tigger, he also wanted to seek answers from Daegu. Ace, what is the meaning of fighting? In my opinion, it is to bring real peace to the universe. Ace, before the real arrival of cosmic peace, we will not stop fighting. Fighting is for peace and to protect the people we love. Agwang, do you remember the first time you faced Gazet? Dagu hesitated at that time, but now Dagu did not hesitate. He was still confused about the meaning of fighting, but he had inadvertently understood the meaning of fighting. That is, to protect, to fight for the people and things he wanted to protect. Agwang, I think this is the true meaning of fighting. The video continues. Tigger and Kyle Bailey AI wrestled with each other. Kyle Bailey AI was still quite capable. He had thick skin and could discharge electricity. Tigger was overwhelmed for a while. On the ground, Zanfang pulled Nori and quickly dodged Kyle Bailey AI's electric spark attack. When Tigger saw that Kyle Bailey AI, this GZZ, dared to hurt his team members, he was furious and jumped to Kyle Bailey AI's side. Tigger's hand knife. Boom. The two sickle-like horns of Kyle Bailey AI broke with a sound. The pained Kyle Bailey AI began to go crazy and pushed Tigger away with the palm. Lightning began to scatter from the broken horns. Seeing that the electric current was about to attack the position, Tigger had no time to think about it and even had no time to open the shield. He jumped to the front of the position and blocked the attack for everyone on the position. Support Ultraman Tigger. The tanks bypassed Tigger and continued to fire, even though their artillery fire could not even do photon rejuvenation, but they still attacked, not because they were stupid, not because they wanted to die, but because they wanted to protect more people and help their comrades. Ultraman Tigger. Tigger looked at the people in front of him and suddenly understood. Yes, isn't that the meaning of fighting? This is the answer. Many people flashed through Dagu's mind. Everyone from the victory team, everyone from TPC, and the people in the city, those ordinary people who were unarmed. They are the meaning of his own fight. Why fight? He didn't know why Ultraman Tigger fought, but he knew why Zinjio Dagu fought. Because Zinjio Dagu wanted to protect these people. Because they are my partners. They are the people I love. Digger rushed to Kyobali AI under the lightning and hugged Kyobali AI tightly. Tigger's body began to heat up. As the temperature continued to rise, a layer of red light appeared on Tigger's body. Boom. A shocking explosion sounded, and Kyobali AI, who would rather be strangled to foam at the mouth than let go, exploded. At that time, if Kyobali AI had let go, she might have survived. Hikari suddenly said this. Kyobali AI exploded, and Tigger, who was injured all over, slowly stood up under the halo of the rising sun. At this moment, Dagu understood the meaning of fighting. Guard. And in the ionosphere, the annihilation war against the Lightning Man began. On the Atreides, the muzzle slowly opened, and the energy of the Mags system gathered on the Mags cannon. The rainbow-like energy blasted towards the dark cloud nest of the Lightning Man with the power of destruction, and even the Atreides could not stop shifting backwards under this shot. However, this world-destroying blow that was enough to shatter an island was moved before it even touched the Lightning Man's cloud nest. What? Fool, now is not the time to be shocked. Launch the second attack immediately. It will take 5 minutes for the Atreides to charge up again. In that case, we will go on our own. At this moment, Xinsheng was a little crazy because of what happened before, or in other words, he had lost his mind. Just then, Lina called him. The cloud looks a little strange. It's strange. At the same time, Captain Iruma Hui also sent a notice. Emergency notice from the headquarters. Temporarily stop the attack. Detected that the clouds around the world are rising and seem to be leaving the earth. Is this true? Dijing asked in disbelief. Don't we have to chase them? They won't come back? Xinsheng still didn't give up. After all, his brother-in-law was killed by the Lightning Man, and there was a blood feud between him and the Lightning Man. No, they won't come back, never again, because the Flash is disappointed with the Earth. No, with us. Left. No one thought this would be the ending. I haven't thought enough. Bruce Wayne didn't know what he was thinking, and laughed at himself. Maybe. But the Flash leaving the Earth is also the best ending. Yes, if the most powerful weapon of mankind is the Mags cannon, then mankind can't deal with the Flash on its own. Tony also said, at least that's the current situation. The Flash has more than one nest. If the Flash attacks humans, it will be really difficult for humans to resist. Peter Parker, the Flash has never attacked humans. In fact, the Flash was forced away by humans. Bruce Wayne, there is nothing we can do about it, kid. Just like Daijing said, humans can't give up using electromagnetic waves. Bruce Wayne, at first, the Flashman mutated into Gazette because of the influence of human electromagnetic waves, but humans could not communicate with them. In fact, both the Flashman and the Earthlings made sense. It is impossible for Earthlings to give up the use of electromagnetic waves, because giving up the use of electromagnetic waves is no less than returning to the agricultural age. Guang, although this is not appropriate, I still want to say something as an outsider. This is a war that cannot define justice and evil, because this is a war for survival. Even the Dago who transformed into Tigger entered the battlefield as the real Dago, not Ultraman Tigger. Bruce Wayne was also thinking, if there is a race similar to the Flashman on Earth, then what if he fights against them? Moreover, Diana had previously revealed the race in the deep sea, Atlantis. The video continues after the war. On the messy battlefield, Mayumi, with a dusty face and a tired face, is helping to clean up the battlefield. Just then, a figure wearing the Victory Team uniform ran to Mayumi and helped Mayumi clean up. Mayumi looked up and saw that it was not someone else, but Nori. Nori stood up and stretched out his hand. The gloves on his hands were already full of dust, which was the damage during the battle. Mayumi saw Nori and smiled sweetly, not caring about the dust on the gloves, and held Nori's hand. The picture froze at this moment. Ultraman Tigger, the Lightning Man trilogy, the end. Hikari saw the picture frozen on the two people's hands holding together and smiled. Guang, two extreme young people, but for the future of mankind, they choose to accept each other and move forward together. It's great. Peter Parker, whether it is a pro-war faction or the pro-peace faction, it seems that they are two different and tit-for-tat ideas. In fact, everyone's starting point is the same, that is, they hope that mankind can live well. However, leaning to one direction will lead to bad consequences, but if you want to take both sides into consideration, you can't do it. Easter egg Dreambird on air. Because the teacher qualification exam results will be released at 8 PM, I set this one to be released after the exam. Now I'm the author who has checked the results 68, 70 passed. Although it is considered an improvement. Last time 66, improved by 2 points. Next time I can pass by 2 points. But next time there will be no such good essay topic. Chapter 450 History is a spiral development. Easter egg Ultraman Diner Dreambird on air. In a racing field, Mayumi quietly watched the motorcycle speeding by, and she suddenly shouted, "Takuma? Is that you? Takuma?" But at this moment, Mayumi realized that Takuma was dead. At this moment, the sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, and a monster appeared in front of Mayumi. A grey birdman appeared in front of Mayumi, and she opened her mouth and said, "The tragedy will happen again, just like before." The next moment, Mayumi woke up suddenly, and then realized that all this was just her dream. Why, I still dream about Takuma? It's been so long. Cinema. Everyone knew at a glance that the damn cinema was ready to issue a knife again. Fortunately, everyone was determined, either by nature or had seen a lot of storms. Facing the memories of Mayumi and the previous Mebius, they only sighed a few words. It seems that the story of Ultraman Diner should be after Tigger. The Super Victory Team, a new defense team base relocated after the original Victory Team base was destroyed, and all weapons and equipment were upgraded. Even the team members were changed, so-called even the name was changed to the Super Victory Team. In the dormitory of the Super Victory Team, the alarm sounded. A group of yawning team members gathered here, and Asuka even came here wearing a nightcap. "Asuka, look at you." The captain pointed at Asuka's nose and scolded, "How can you be so flustered? Are you still a member of the Super Victory Team like this?" Asuka glanced at the captain and said, "But captain." "But what but?" Asuka didn't say anything, just pointed at the captain's shoes. "Well, it's a cotton shoe in the shape of a little rabbit. The epicenter is in Eurasia, and we are investigating the damage. After the earthquake, devastating accidents occurred in power plants all over the country. But what does this have to do with the earthquake?" The captain scratched his chin and said, "Felinairo, set off immediately to the airspace where the incident occurred to investigate." "Understood." Felinairo, who was driving the plane, had just said something like the weather was clear and safe when a dark cloud suddenly appeared in front of him. And from the dark cloud, a monster that looked like a human, but lacked wings on its back, and seemed to be wearing a bird head helmet flew out. Is this Gazette? It shouldn't be, it's completely different. The mouth of the bird-like head opened, revealing a woman's face. Niro easily avoided the opponent's attack by driving the plane, and after a few rounds of fighting, the opponent disappeared. Niro reported the situation back, and after making a detailed report, Niro met Mai dragging a large bag in the corridor. What kind of outfit are you wearing? Faced with Asuka's complaints, Mai retorted mercilessly and took out a photo of a racing driver, but the embarrassing thing was that Mai called the other person's name wrong, and it was Asuka who corrected her. Mai responded, I'm a passionate girl, and I think you should go to Mayumi-senpai to see. Seeing a monster with a beautiful woman's head must look like a girl. Hey, don't talk nonsense. 10 minutes later. How is it, head nurse? Is it really my hallucination? Faced with Asuka's question, Mayumi, who is already the head nurse, told him there is nothing wrong with him. But that bad may not be an illusion. Mayumi told Asuka a story. Legend has it that there is an ominous bird called Guho bird. Its appearance indicates that someone is going to die, and Guho bird is a strange bad with a human female face. I also dreamed of it in my dream. It was a strange bad with a female face. Guho bird is a strange bird that foreshadows death and bad luck, just like before. Mayumi didn't say much and handed Asuka to the nurse beside her. When the nurse saw Asuka's puzzled face, she asked, have you heard of the monster Gazette? I have heard that it is a monster caused by the mutation of the Lightning Man and attacked the power plant. Mayumi came to the corridor, holding the necklace that Takuma left for her. That day, Takuma, who was originally killed by Gazette's attack, appeared again to save Mayumi. Asuka walked out of the medical department and suddenly heard the alarm. An abnormal plasma cloud was discovered over the city. Super Victory team members urgently assemble. Could it be? In the Super Victory team command room, the captain contacted Asuka through the communication channel. Asuka, how could you attack without permission again, you bastard? Sorry, but there is no time to explain. What? I'm going to punish you. The plasma cloud over Tokyo is the Gyuto. Its appearance indicates that something is going to happen. Something happened? This guy's really crazy. The captain had a headache, and at this moment another team member ran over with a report. Captain, what Niro said should be true. What? Look. These stones are formed by the heat generated by the friction of the rocks in the fault on the ground during the earthquake. The team member also took out a specimen and said, you see, the monster carries electrical energy, so these fossils were adsorbed on the monster, and then in the sky, these stones fell down. According to the computer analysis, this is the case. If the plasma cloud is a plasma creature, then it can also explain why the power plant was attacked. Because of the interference of plasma, the video recording equipment will be disturbed. Although it is not a lightning man, the ionosphere is a new area in the earth, so it is indeed possible that there are creatures we don't know about. Plasma creature, Guho bird. And in the sky, Niro also met his target. Guho bird. It's you. You made me be regarded as a mental patient. The high altitude chase between one man, one machine and one beast began. Alpha's laser hit Guho bird accurately, but it had no effect. At this moment, other team members also came to support. The laser of the plane is useless. Liang flew the gamma beside Asuka and told Asuka through the communication channel. The monster called Guho bird is indeed a plasma group. Okay, now leave it to us. Use anti-ion bombs to absorb its energy. The anti-ion hit the opponent accurately. After a scream, Guho bird's body turned into a ball of ions and finally dissipated in the atmosphere. After the war, Asuka went to the medical department to tell Mayumi, but Mayumi's feeling of uneasiness became stronger. On the other side, Mai, who was on vacation, found her favorite racing driver, Jikin, and when he was going to do something, she strongly asked to follow him. But when the other party came to that place, Mai immediately regretted it. I'm sorry, I don't know. The other person shook his head and said, my brother is also a racing driver. Jikin fell into memories. At that time, He was still a junior high school student, and his brother was already an excellent racing driver who began to show his talent in this kind of competition. You're getting better and better, Takuma. This is too coincidental. Everyone was very surprised. This racing driver who Mei fell in love with more than 10 years later was actually Mayumi's lover, Takuma's younger brother. Peter took a deep breath and tried not to think about those terrible things. This is too coincidental. In the dim memories, the racing driver took off his helmet, and it was the face of the young Takuma. Winning or losing is secondary. The important thing is that I won't give up. Time returns to the real world. Jikin told Mei, I want to fulfill my brother's will. Although I don't know if I can achieve my wish, I will never give up. It will definitely come true. Mei said, your brother will definitely see it. Just then, a dark cloud suddenly appeared above the two of them. In the dark cloud, lightning flashed, and a monster with a human body and wings on its back rushed out. Guho bird. It is not dead, but resurrected. Victory team base. Everyone quickly discovered the appearance of Guho bird. Isn't that guy dead? I don't know. The reason for the resurrection of the Gyuto is still unknown. But there used to be a microwave power generation system there, but because it had a certain impact on the lightning man and the ionosphere, the plan was later interrupted. Although the plan was interrupted, only the equipment above was evacuated, and the super spinning circle underground was still preserved. In other words, the super spinning circle still has huge electrical energy. Okay, attack immediately. On the other side, in the car, Mayumi and Asuka said, time does not move forward, but turns in circles repeatedly. So, Mayumi smiled bitterly and said, the tragedy of history is also repeated again and again. Humans always repeat the same mistakes. Amuro Ray. It is true that it is going in circles, just like a spiral staircase. Asuka smiled and said, so, today will definitely be better than yesterday, even if it's only a little bit. Moving forward in waves and rising in spirals. This is development. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.